Yep, absolutely. Most of them may be yellow. They get all sorts of people coming to them, all sorts of addresses.
So I start with rolling. Okay. Tēnā tātou katoa. Just apologies for the later start. We've just got a few technical stuff that we're sorting out now, but we will begin. I'm just going to start with karakia. And sorry, we can't have it up on the screen. Kia tau mai te maramatanga, kia tau mai te rangimaria, kia tau mai te kaha, me te whai whakaro, mō tēnei kaupapa. Hui e, pā ki e. So in English, let's be grounded in clarity, let's be peaceful, let's be strong and considerate for this purpose, bind together and so it be, so it is. Can I just ask everyone if you will join me in a breath, haki, roto haki waho, so deep breath in and out. All right, so we'll just get grounded for today. I just want to welcome board member or chair, deputy chair from Golden Bay, Grant Knowles, to the table. And see, we have got you a name tag here now, so
It's scary.
it's official. Next to him, Councillor Daihe, and we've got staff member Tony Strange, Grant and Nick, and we are joined today by John Ridd.
It's under much stress to get this in there. Sorry about this.
He's got extra jobs on today, and Robin is sitting in as our secretary. So
Lacey's out there.
I was getting to her. I've actually written her down on here. Sorry, and we've got Lacey Hutt joining us today, who is a therapy dog. So if you're feeling a little bit tense today, just come and have a pat of Lacey. So where's our Zoom?
It's well, they're over there. I'm just sharing the screen. I just wanted this way of checking.
Okay, so Holly, is there any way you can confirm if they whoever's on Zoom can see our screen? Yeah. Thanks. While Holly's doing that, yeah. Thank you. Wonderful. We just have apologies for lateness from Councillor Maru. So we accept that. Yes, Hughes. Seconded by Armstrong. Everyone else okay with that? Aye. No one against? Carried. Okay. Any declarations of interest? Today's meeting. Any late items? Okay, can we please have a mover to confirm the minutes from the board meeting in April? Yes, board member Armstrong, a seconder, please. Oh, that's right, you're in Spain. Councillor Dowler is a seconder. Is everyone in agreement? Anyone against? Okay, so it's carried. Okay, so we will move into public forum. And first on our list is Joanna Santa Barbara, and speaking as a organisation, even though we haven't actually passed that in our standing orders yet, we will allow the 10 minutes. So yeah, you want to join us? Yes, you're welcome to sit or stand, whatever's comfortable. I'm just going to have my timer on, so we can keep track, and when you're ready.
Joanne, if you just tell me when to move and I'll click the button.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay. So tēnā koutou. I'm Joanna Santa Barbara, and I'm the co-chair of the Nelson Tasman Climate Forum. And I'm here today representing the Motueka Repair Cafe, which is a partnership between the forum, Climate Forum, and the Motueka Repair Cafe group. And the particular reason that I'm here today is to thank you and to let you know what an outstanding success this initiative is, and how pleased lots of people in Motueka are that it exists. Next slide, please, John. Thanks. a simple version of something you're probably quite familiar with, the the waste hierarchy. Starting with rethink waste, reducing consumption, and working out how to more efficiently use what we take from nature so we can take less because we're taking too much. And ending with trying to get rid of the red dispose into landfill triangle, because landfills contribute significantly to climate change, are a blight on the landscape, contaminate soil and water. So we want to operate at the top of the waste hierarchy, just reducing the amount of new stuff that we keep taking from nature and taking care of the stuff that we have. And that's where we come in the Repair Cafe. We repair stuff that's broken and keep it in use so people don't go out and buy a new one. And this also acts to reduce the cost of living. And for the rest of the slides, if you might just flick through them about every minute. I won't speak to the specific slides, but just a background so you can see what this room would look like on the third Saturday of every month. It looks like this. And thanks to David Armstrong for these photos. So we've run 5 repair cafes now. As I said, the last one was Saturday morning, and we keep improving our efficiency and our flow. And from the very start, I was bowled over by the positive vibe in the room, that just all around me, I was hearing conversations of delight and gratitude and friendliness. The written feedback has been highly positive. I quote, "Great idea, wonderful service, delighted with repair." One that I liked from last Saturday, "I love everything here, especially the tea and biscuit." Over here, we have a table with baked goods, which people bring from home, and tea and coffee available. And while people are waiting for their expert repairer, and there sometimes is a queue, they have a tea and biscuit and make a new friend of a neighbour in Motueka. The repair experts, and some of them are highly expert, work for 3 hours straight in a session, say on a knife sharpening machine or a sewing machine, and yet they're happy at the end of the session. I've noticed an interesting ethic develop in the Repair Cafe, that people are really true to the ethic of the waste hierarchy, trying to take less from the earth. So I noticed early on that whenever we, the organisers, identified that we needed something, maybe we needed a tarpaulin under a table or an extension cord, and although we had funding from you, people would say, "No, I've got an extra one at home, I'll bring it in." And when we identified it really would be nice to serve people something nice to eat with a cup of tea, people said, "Yeah, I can bring a batch of Anzacs, or I can bring a tea cake." And we've stuck to that. We haven't said, "Oh no, we'll go and buy one." We've honoured that ethic and gone with that. So we have in fact used our funds less than anticipated, and we hope that we can roll them over to keep going rather than asking for more. Our clients, near the door sits a little ice cream container that says Koha. We never mention it. We never say, would you like to drop something? But people do. And it's it astonishes me each time we run the cafe, just how much people want to show their gratitude for what we're doing. we decided we will use our funds a little more. People work for 3 hours straight and they're hungry at the end, so we decided we will provide them with a bit of a snack before they go home. And that also keeps people here a little bit longer to debrief and kind of start a community of repair volunteers. So currently, we're talking to people in Mohua, Golden Bay, who are also interested in starting repair cafes there. TDC staff member Claire Webster is active in that area. And Saturday, we had an inquiry from Wakefield saying that people would like to start a repair cafe there. So, no, not at all. If you just flick through to the next one. No worries, John.
Click on the picture up on number 6, is it?
5. It's the one that has, yeah, it's that last one on the list. Yes, that's a report from the second last one, showing how many people came, how many volunteers. We have this great team of volunteers, and how much waste we prevented, how many kilograms of CO2 we prevented, 39 items fixed. Now, Saturday, we had nearly 100 items that we processed. So we keep getting more efficient at this. And now if you can manage to bring up the very last slide, after the one with the reported figures on, it is that we just want to thank you for funding us. We hope you feel as pleased as we do about this initiative, doing our bit for nature, for climate change, and for family budgets. I'm sure you have something at home that needs fixing. So bring it in at our next cafe, which will be June the 15th, right here on a Saturday morning. So that's it. And if I may be so bold, with my co-chair of the Climate Forum hat on, we're about to start the Climate Action Festival on Friday. It will be a week of over 40 events, many of which will be in Nelson. Whoops, sorry, John.
No, don't worry.
And so I'm sure you will find something that interests you, but yay for the community board and TDC for helping us begin this really pleasing initiative. Thank you for your time. I don't know if I have any time left for questions, Sheree.
Well, first of all, I just want to thank you. That's such a great initiative. When it came to the board earlier, everybody was really excited about it, and I know you're doing some fantastic stuff. So thank you very much for what you're doing. I know Deputy Chair has a question.
Thank you. Yeah, just one question. So do you have any sort of partnership with the Men's Shed for anything?
We do informally. Yes, I went to the Men's Shed before we started to see if they could help us, and they have sent some very expert repairers to our team.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next on our list, we have Mr. Ogilvie.
Last on your list, Madam Chair.
Oh, I've got second here, but
Well, good afternoon, Madam Chair and board members. My item today is the Motueka Harbour and Coastal Works reserve policy and the fund involved. I've been requested, excuse my voice today. I've been requested formally to report to you, the Kenya board, read my complaint, which concerned the February review of the Harbour and Coastal Works Reserve Fund policy. The item is in your agenda, pages 16 to 26. It refers to the policy being updated on February 16th last year, 2023, and also November of 2023. Those reviews and the one in today's agenda raise many important issues. There is a significant variation to the definition for coastal and harbour. There is no public consultation requirement for this or any review. The role of the community board is being downgraded. The lack of public involvement, including the community board and the governance of the policy, by the enterprise committee, as the committee operates in a closed meeting procedures mostly. There is some background information, read the policy, that I will endeavour to describe and explain. First, I'm unsure about how much is in the fund. I believe it's close to $5 million. So it's quite a significant amount of money. Definitions. The policy refers to itself as a harbour and coastal works entity. The old policy, this is pre-2023, defined harbour in marine terms. That is, it included the Rewalker River and its mouth, the Motueka River mouth, the State Highway Bridge, the Mitri River Inlet, including the Motueka Estuary, north of the Wharf Road, Tidal Gate and Culvert. And the boundary extended the western coastline of Kena Beach. Now, there's a map on page 25 of your agenda, which shows this very clearly. It's in pink. Coastal was essentially and very simply the coastline itself. Mean high water was the boundary. The only land included was actually Jackets Island. Roads were specifically excluded. Again, refer to page 22 this time in italics where it's crossed out. These boundaries of the old pre-2023 funds policy are crucial in defining where the fund's money could be allocated. Not in particular, harbour is a marine area. Don't confuse harbour with Port Motueka. Port Motueka was not included in the area defined prior to 2023. These proposed new variations last year and now this year have changed the policy fundamentally and dramatically. Coastal is proposed to include those areas of land in the Tasman Environmental Plan, TEP, which is an extraordinary extension of the policy. With two maps on page 25 and 26, which demonstrate this variation. These variations to the pre-23 policy ought to have required public participation. The amount of the fund also emphasises the need for public engagement. And this public engagement will include those in the Motueka Ward and also those residents, property owners adjacent to Kena Beach and the peninsula. These people are outside the ward and would therefore require special attention. Note that the 2023 proposals anticipates allocating funding for projects which would not have been included in 2022. This itself is a major change, again, underlying the need for the public to be involved. During the October 22 elections, there was no indication of a review of the policy, nor was it identified in the annual plan, 22-23, nor was it in the long-term plan, 2018 to 28. So given the extent of variations to the policy, the number of people affected and the amount in the fund, public consultation ought to have been an automatic, necessary process. Now, in May of this year, today, the public consultation with the public remains necessary before any review of the policy is effected. This means negating the changes of last year and those proposed in your agenda today. The role of the community board. Although it's not mentioned in your agenda's report, the old pre-2023 policy provided a governance and monitoring role for the community board. It was the board's role to initiate a review, probably prompted by the district council, then to conduct the public participation and to monitor the fund. This is very similar to the active role you play with deciding your own special projects. In recent years, this community board activity has been lost to the, first of all, to the commercial committee, and now to the current enterprise committee. What is being proposed for most decisions which relate to the fund being made by the enterprise committee confidentially, question mark, will involve little or no involvement or recommendations from the community board of Motueka. Over the last 15 months, since February 2023, I've endeavoured to have the above notes and comments considered by the district council without any change resulting. I've met the property manager on 2 or 3 occasions. The fund policy is outside his primary role. The community board members may recall an earlier public forum address when the Courtney Street East report was being considered prior to being referred. The proposed policy review and the variations to the old 2023 policy would now allow that project to progress, perhaps with minimal input by the community board. In summary, the following suggestions summarise how a review of the policy and fund expenditure would meet acceptable criteria. 1, review the old pre-2023 policy with a wide-ranging public participation and formal public consultation process. The definition of the policy's boundaries would be critical in that public consultation. 2, specify in the reviewed policy how it is expected to spend any funding available and any recommended projects during the period of 3 years, that is before the next review. It's a 3-year policy review situation. And thirdly, provide a defined active role for the Motueka Community Board in the governance and administration of the fund. I want to emphasise it is a local fund, not necessarily a district-wide fund. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. That's really interesting to get the history on that and was reading through it, I didn't realise all of that. Are there any other questions or clarification from the board?
I'd just like to thank David for officially bringing the issues to the community board, which is excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to welcome up Chris Sutton, please. And Chris is speaking on behalf of the Museum Trust Board, so allowing for 10 minutes.
I'm amending my notes. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Pardon?
Presentation?
No.
She doesn't have a presentation.
Sorry, excuse me.
You just have to listen. I hope I'm not shouting at you. I'm just so blocked up with hay fever at the moment that I can't even hear myself. So, but thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'm Chris Sutton. I'm chair of the Motueka District Museum Trust Board, and I'm also representing the Motueka Historical Society. The rules I sent today said I was not to be repetitive. So my apologies to those of you who have heard this a number of times already. I'm truly excited to finally, after a number of years of delaying promises, that a report has finally been tabled with you, the Motueka Community Board. The rules also said I'm not to be disrespectful, but in all due respect, The Motueka ratepayers, especially those who have presented submissions re the old library building, have had to wait for too many years for a decision to be made re its use. So I'm hopeful this will be the last time I'll be making a presentation to you. And also in consideration of Barry Dowler's mental health, who has been in the hot seat as TDC representative on the trust board for a year nearly now. I think Barry is him. And but we do appreciate what you've done for us, Barry, in that time, and as my guide on the side, and also to David Ogilvie, who's too scared to come up and sit beside me. The need for storage space is now critical. It's even past the critical stage. If we do not get the storage, we will need to refuse to accept any more artifacts and will thereby permanently lose a lot of our local history. We currently have the equivalent of 4 garages which we rent and also volunteer storage in at least 4 different parts of Motueka. This is time consuming and expensive to access, as well as being totally unsuitable for long-term storage. We cannot continue storage in this haphazard fashion. It's also a health and safety concern for the board. The storage is the council's responsibility. Our preference has always been the old library in Park Street, but it seems fairly clear from the report that that's not going to be the first, that's not going to be an option for us. We were made aware in 2019 by Susan Edwards then, that the Laura Ingram kindergarten may become available, but this has only happened last year. I was told to contact Glenn, the president of the Kindergarten Association. I think Glenn also was an employee of TDC for a long time. He had just found out the building belonged to TDC. So my conversations since have been with Nick Chin. Nick in an email said we could have Laura Ingram, but we would need to relocate the building. So I arranged a meeting on site with Nick and Steve Batt, I think it's Steve Batt, and David Ogilvie and some of the trust members, and we went through the Laura Ingram kindergarten. Nick shared at the time that the old library was being considered for a new service centre for the council, and they would need more car park spaces. So we determined at this on-site meeting that there was plenty of room at the back of Laura Ingram kindergarten for car parking, extra car parking, huge area there that all we needed was the building. For us, the Laura Ingram kindergarten building would be fit for purpose, as we require a space for workshop to build exhibitions, a humidity and temperature controlled space to store paper archives, storage for artifacts, and the packaging needed to protect these, proper lighting, bathroom facilities, and running water. There'd also be enough space to house a workroom for the Motueka Historical Society. Would also give us more office space. Presently, we employ six staff who have to work on different days as there's not enough room in the designated office area. And we've really got some high quality staff, especially our collections manager who also does, our exhibition manager who also does exhibitions for Suter Gallery and at the Provincial Museum, but prefers to work for us. We're committed, when talking with Nick and Stephen, that they thought it would probably be too expensive to relocate the building. But I said they didn't have to relocate it far if that's what they wanted to do, because we designated an area down by the toy library right at the back of that area. Big space there for a building that we would like to see happen if this doesn't eventuate. But, and I got in touch with Periams, who about relocating the building, and they said they'd already provided a quote a few years back to relocate the building for TDC. So it was something they considered at some stage. We're committed to apply for grants to outfit the building, inclusive of the required monitoring and temperature control systems, so the artifacts can be stored and protected correctly. So it wouldn't be an expectation. We have a TDC to do that. We note that TDC provided money for the Nelson Provincial Museum for the storage space. So we are assured that the need and importance of storage, museum storage, is clearly understood by the council. And the same thinking will also apply for the TDC's own area museum. We understand that TDC have a budget of approximately $1.8 million for the three councils. That's Golden Bay, Murchison, Motueka. The budget area, we get 100,000, just over 100,000 of that, which isn't a lot considering that budget amount. But I actually didn't see it even be referred to in the costing in this report that was produced. Our strategic planning has been, we also, we have an expertise that if the council back down on the undertaking they've given us about the Laura Ingram kindergarten, that a purpose-built building is built for us, and within less time that it's taken for them to make a decision. In other words, probably by the end of the year would be great. But our strategic planning has been put on hold for far too long. We're fortunate to have been able to employ amazing staff and are chomping at the bit to get on with the vision we have for the museum. And just to finish, I look forward to a positive response to this submission before I become one of the artifacts. Here you go, here you go. Thanks, Chris.
Were there any questions from the board?
Just to clarify, Chris, when you were saying
Can you speak out?
sorry,
Yeah.
Chris. So the Motueka Museum, you were saying gets 100,000,
Yeah,
and there's 1.8 million in what budget? I misheard. What's
it's
the
a targeted budget amount set aside in the annual budget. Barry Della will probably know better than about that, but that's what we understand.
So what does that include?
That's be reconfirmed in the LTP coming up.
But it was for museums in which
Just trying to remember myself now, had a bit going on.
Regards the 1.8 mil, I believe it's also part of it's also a council's contribution to the Nelson Provincial Museum.
I just have, we do have a concern about that. We do understand that TDC has an undertaking to support Nelson Provincial as well because it's a provincial museum. But you know, you have done that with a huge amount of money you've given them for a very, very fancy building. And we now would expect to see that we're supported with that budget amount.
Yes, councillor.
So thank you for your presentation. It's always good to hear it again because you always add a bit more to it. So with that 1.8, do you now understand that potentially from what Mr. Staff Member Nick's just shared, that 1.8 would be shared over 4 areas? What is that what you just gleaned there?
For the three local museums that are in the Tasman district.
Okay, sorry, through the chair, can I just have clarification from Nick that that 1.8 includes the Nelson Provisional, Golden Bay, Murchison and Motueka?
Yes, it does.
Thanks.
And what I'm saying is it now should no longer include the Nelson
I
Provincial.
totally hear you. I just wanted clarification
Given
that
that
what
we-
the staff member was saying is it's for 4 areas as opposed to.
But this is an annual budget amount, I understand, and so roughly around about that. Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be discussing that in the board's report later, so. I'll actually know before that. I'm after.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Last time.
Mr. Hellier.
Madam Chairman, community board members, councillors, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Ray Hellier. Richard Kirby's reported comments on the 7th of November 2023 Stuff Report, quote, council to dig up cars buried in riverbank after 2018 storm, close quote, need to be investigated as to their veracity and appropriateness vis-a-vis the various statutes and values the council must adhere to. One of those values is kāwinga, responsibility. Kia u ki te pai, I hope that's pronounced right. Stay resolute to that which is good. The values, we honour our commitments. We act professionally with integrity. We are honest and open. We bring the right attitude to work. Safety and well-being come first. Mr. Kirby states the cars washed down the river were buried as flood protection. Yet previously he said they were buried under section 330 of the RMA, which does not cover the burial of cars in a riverbank for flood protection. Mr. Kirby states the council didn't know exactly where the cars were buried, but the contractor would. Mr. Kirby states the vehicles were going to stay in situ, but this would breach the council's global rivers consent rule that state that all non-river materials must be removed and deposited in an appropriate place. Furthermore, section 330 of the RMA stipulates that anything buried under an emergency in a river has to be removed when the emergency is over. Mr. Kirby states that it was decided that a retrospective consent was not required to dig up these vehicles. I believe a retrospective consent should have been required to ensure the environment was protected in accordance with the council's global rivers consent conditions. Also, the funding from central government was for riverbank protection, not digging up illegally buried cars. Mr. Kirby states that any environmental impact would have been dealt with as the vehicles floated down the river rolling around. That once buried, it would have caused more environmental damage pulling them out again. And that once buried and out of sight, there would have been no visual contamination to the river streams. What's he saying here? Is he saying out of sight, out of mind? Whatever, the cars were buried with the toxic contaminants still in them. Mr. Kirby states the cars might have had batteries in them, but that the contractors may have removed them if they were still accessible, and that as the cars were crunched up, it might not have been easy to remove them. I believe the cars were not scrunched up prior to burial, therefore the batteries could have been removed. Mr. Kirby then states, while there was a general feeling that the council had denied knowledge about the cars, they had known all along the cars were there. Well, if that's the case, then why did Ms. Dames Dowding and Ray et al. Strenuously deny that they knew anything about this when it was first raised? Can the board investigate this under the auspices of kāweka kia u ki te pai?
Thank you.
You want this?
Yes, if you want to table your notes. Any
Thank you.
questions, clarification?
No questions, that's good.
No. Okay, thank you. Now, that's the end of public forum. I'm going to move to, because I think we have one discretionary fund, so that's page 48, 8.4. So I believe Vicky is here to speak to that. Welcome, councillor Nodu. Okay, so Tasman Bay Guardians.
Kia ora, ko Vicky Paratai Takuingoa, and I thank you for the opportunity to come and speak to the and Tasman District Council re the discretionary fund. I do some work for Tasman Bay Guardians. Tasman Bay Guardians look after the educational deliveries from mountains to sea, looking at the freshwater and moana seawater space. The application was put together requesting funds to help support community engagement in restoration, water monitoring, and protecting flora space. Basically, there's lots of activities happening. Next week, we're in Motueka at Mains Forward, working with the community to connect in a wedding engagement there. And there are other projects going on in, for example, Kaiteriteri and Otawhiro in Maraho. So I whipped together the application to support that ongoing mahi in that space. And I don't have a presentation.
Yeah, questions? Yes, councillor Walker.
I thank you for the mahi that you're doing in our community, first of all. But my actual question is, do you apply for the discretionary fund from Motueka Golden Bay Community Board as well? Yes. Thank you.
All in favour, say aye. Aye. Anyone again? Carried.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Vicky. Best of luck. Catch up now, just now we're going to go backwards. So now we are going to go to community lease and license renewals for the Motueka Ward. And Nick will be speaking to that.
Free Madam Chair, tēnā koutou katoa, ko te kaiwhakawhaere ratonga taonga, ko Nick Chin tōku ingoa. So my name's Nick Chin. I'm the Property and Enterprise Manager for the Council. The first paper tonight is on behalf of my colleague Margot Wilson, where we're seeking Community Board support to offer a new 5-year lease term to the Imagine Theatre, the Sunday Markets, and the Bowling Club. So I'll take the paper as read, and any questions?
Yeah, thank you, through the chair. And you might be able to answer this now, Nick, but it's just in regards to the Sunday market. So I get the other leases are the community leases at 300 plus GST. The board probably isn't aware of their commercial arrangement with the Sunday market, whether that's done just by circulating to the board and outside the forum. I don't know if it's public or it's commercially sensitive. But that lease document for the market will be different. License to occupy will be different to the community leases. Yes. So I just don't know, Madam Chair, in terms of the certainly as the chair being aware of what that is, because there's a line in your income that's from Sunday market.
Will that affect
No, I guess it's are the terms and conditions the same as they currently are, Nick?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so it won't affect that line item. Good question.
That's what I was going to ask. Is there a separate lease? Because this is technically a commercial entity, not a bowling club or a dance group. It's a for-profit organisation, and we benefit from that. By earnings, it isn't going to change.
I guess the
Might be a bit ignorant here, sorry.
it's been a established feature for many decades or several decades. And it's operated in conjunction with family members. We don't believe it generates large profits. It's part of the community really, and that's why we've rolled it out as a community lease.
Armstrong, and then Deputy Chair Hutton, and then Councillor Walker.
Thanks, Nick, for your report. Memory takes me back 10 years ago when this came up, I think the second last time probably, and there was some discussion then that our town, Motueka at that time, wanted to change the lease to them, but they become the leaseholders. Has there been any indication that anyone else now would be interested in doing that job, or is this
Not that I'm aware of.
okay? Thanks.
But that would, I'm just asking, that would be between the two parties, like, can they sublease if they wanted the market?
They can't assign the lease. They would have to talk to us.
Right,
Yep.
so it would come back through this forum.
Yes.
Yeah, Deputy Chair Hutton.
Thank you, Nick. Through the chair, I've been the Our Town Motueka coordinator for 9 years, and it's news to me that they took an interest in taking over the market. So, not sure where that information came from. I was literally going to say, Judy has done an amazing job, and if she wasn't going to do it, I don't know who else would actually take it on. So it's a massive asset to the town. So I really appreciate what she does, and I don't know anyone else that's interested in taking it over. It's certainly not Our Town Motueka. Thank you.
Councillor Walker.
Yeah, thank you through your chair. So from what I've read, all 3 of these applications are for extension on a 5-year lease.
Some of them have been for longer than that. But yes, we're offering a 5-year lease.
It's 5 years.
Yes.
Has there been any dialogue or an appetite from any of them to have longer than 5 years? Have we stipulated the 5 years, or?
We've stipulated 5 years. Most lessees would prefer a very long lease, but we're trying to rationalise it down to 5 years. It gives us an opportunity to manage the leases a wee bit better going forward.
So are we setting a format now where all our community leases will be 5 years and then the right to renew?
Unless there's a reason for doing otherwise, we are trying to bring them into 5 years. There's no community lease policy, so we're just looking at a 5-year period at this time.
And if I may, just one more question. Is TDC staff working on that so that we have a structure that is formulated that's fit for purpose for everybody?
Yes, the planning and policy group are working on a community lease policy.
Thank you.
Yeah, just following from both what Trinity and Claire was saying, I'm just interested in that lease agreement. If something happened to the person or the organisation, what's the backfill then? Is it?
We have the ability to step in and terminate the lease if it's no longer functioning.
Do they have the ability to, let's say something happened to the organiser, do they have the ability to hand that over to someone else if they weren't well enough to?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
They have to do it through us, though.
Right, yeah, but that succession can
Yep.
continue. Okay. Are there any other Questions? Yeah, Councillor.
It's probably just for Mrs. Sherry at the end, because I think there was general confusion that the Sunday market was going to a $300 a year community lease. So that lease is actually getting negotiated on the same terms as it currently is. It's not a $300 a year lease. So just in terms of noting in the minutes somewhere, I think it's probably because it's not that clear in the document.
Oh, okay, so are we looking at 4.5
So it's
on page 5?
Yeah.
So it's probably 2B, Motueka license, so I joined it.
4.5 mentions 300 per year.
Yes, so that doesn't apply to the Motueka Sunday Market.
Right, okay, so we.
So it's just noted in the minutes. I don't think we need to amend a resolution or anything. It's just noted that officer, that Nick confirmed that it was on the same terms it currently is, which is an open profit share. Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, oh, sorry, he's.
Just through the chair, I do have a conflict here. I run the Tākeka market, so I do have an understanding of how it works, and it's a percentage you pay, so it is a little bit different. And 5-year lease is what is happening in Tākeka as well. If I was to terminate and sell it, then it would be a whole new lease for somebody else. And as I was told, with leases like this, it doesn't go out for public consultation because the person who runs the lease, there is a right of expectation that that person can continue running it. Otherwise, from what I understand, the Nelson market had a fairly large court case, and that's what came back some years ago. The NETA continued to run it, even though it was given to somebody else. Yeah.
Moved by Lacey.
So, yeah, that is a little bit of clarification, I hope. And that money that is paid back to council does come to the community board and to your discretionary fund.
Okay, so shall we proceed? So the community board receives the community lease and license renewals for the Motueka ward report. And number 2, supports the decision of the property services manager who is delegated to approve the leasing of council property to grant new 5-year tenancies to the organisations listed below, noting that these groups' occupations do not require public notification. A, Imagine Theatre Incorporated, B, Motueka Sunday Market, and C, Motueka Bowling Club. So, mover. Okay, so board member Hughes moved, seconded by Deputy Chair Hunt. All in favour, say aye. Anyone again? Carried. Thank you. Okay, moving on to page 11. The Motueka Harbour and Coastal Works Reserve Fund Policy Update and Funding Proposals. Okay, so I'll just open that up for discussion. Yes, anyone? Zen first.
Would you like me to just a quick
Yes, please.
spiel? First, I'd like to thank Mr. Ogilvie for his feedback. As Mr. Ogilvie has pointed out, the Motueka Harbour Works and Coastal Reserve Fund is overseen by the Enterprise Committee, and it's largely operated using commercial disciplines. It's to be applied within a designated area around Motueka. The issue within the policy, we were required to review the policy in 2019. It actually wasn't reviewed till about 2 to 3 years later. We found the policy poorly worded and therefore confusing. And one of the big issues was the coastal environment, and Motueka Harbour and coastal reserve area wasn't clearly defined. So the plan on the screen shows the area in the policy, the pink area, which is essentially seabed and Jacket Island, as Mr. Ogilvy's pointed out, below the mean water high spring, below high tide, in other words. Historically, the fund has been applied to investments that didn't actually conform to this. There was a bank in Queen Street, Richmond, the Harbour Masters building, and it's also been used to fund as a concessionary loan in the Motueka holiday park. So we needed to clarify what was coastal land, and we're using the same terminology used in the Tasman Environmental Plan, or the TEP, which just reminds me, 1.8, there's an error there. We say TRMP is actually, should be the TEP. So, next slide, please. So I apologize, again, it's not clearly seen. So the TEP shown here is by a faint green line on a green background, which is never good, but it aligns, it now aligns with what's defined in the Tasman Environmental Plan. I should say that the way the fund is used is not being materially affected, and you'll see in the draft resolutions that we've also said that the Motueka Harbour and Coastal Works Reserve Fund does not affect private land or impose additional rating or development requirements on private land in the Motueka Coastal Works Reserve area. So all it is it designates an area where we can utilise this fund. I guess I'll take the paper as read. Any further questions?
The Chair, so look, not very knowledgeable on this apart from what I've heard over the years, but my understanding of it was originally investments were set up to look after the Motueka port, and they invested in property. No doubt, I think is it Westpac? Was. Yeah, forgive me, I said that this is just barely what I've heard. I also heard that people were very unhappy that it was changed a few years ago by way of, it's mentioned here, High Court. Was it the TDC that took it to the High Court to get it changed?
I'm aware that there was a court case 20 years ago, but it was before my time.
Took it to court.
I'm not sure, to be honest. But I do know there was a challenge around about 20 years ago. Right?
Okay. So, okay, that's good. So it's a fund to look after the harbour. And I see there's various things throughout, including wanting to borrow some money to pay some consultants over what to do with some land. What about actually spending some money on the port? There used to be a channel there, and it seems to be ignored. That would be the obvious use for this money. Is there any thoughts as to doing something with the actual harbour?
Hasn't come to my attention.
Well, I am now coming to your attention.
Oh, hold on. No.
No, there is a structure. What you're alluding to is the consultants doing the structure plan. So that's the process we're following at the moment.
Yeah.
So I think
It's purely sort of very naive on all of this,
Yeah,
but
so-
I just see we've got a fund, still got plenty of money. I understood a lot of it's gone, but surely we should be spending that on the harbour.
so we're going to have a workshop. Sorry, there's going to be a workshop coming up on the structure plan around the harbour. And those are the sorts of questions you can ask at that point.
Excellent, thank you. That's it. Thank you.
Councillor Dunn.
Okay, right, Nick, sorry, we've had quite a discussion about this over the last couple of weeks. The wording has come up and I see that, it has written there that it doesn't affect private land somewhere. I'm just trying to find the wording again.
Resolution 2.
Page 12. Page 12.
The worst part about it for me, and Mr. Ridd might have to give us some legal opinion on it, it keeps referring to the Tasman Environment Plan. Now, we started doing the Tasman Environment Plan to replace the Tasman Resource Management Plan a couple of years ago. Then it was parked. So how come it keeps referring to the TEP when it has never been approved or consulted on?
I don't think it's the TEP, it's the TRMP. Tasman Regional Management
Plan, yeah, well, all the way through the document, and Nick just said there was a mistake in 1.8 that says TRMP, it should be the TEP.
I should be the other way around. The TRMP. So
Because
we
that
need to
map
get
is,
on-
that map is in the TEP.
Yeah.
It's never been approved by council.
I don't know what that was from, but certainly.
So it just keeps coming back to me that we've got something that's not right in the document that needs to be clarified before any decision made. Apart from that, the land part of it, but I think also in buildings should be there as well, because otherwise the buildings could be taken as assets for the thing. So just a little bit of clarification. So at this stage, I can't support it as a member of the board anyway. Just that has to be clarified in my mind completely.
Yes.
You mentioned.
Sorry.
Next, and my apologies if it's been answered because I was late. What is the balance of the current harbour, Motueka Harbour, Bedford it is?
It's about 5 mil.
It is about.
It gets, it's growing slowly. It gets interest payments from the Harbour Masters building and also from the holiday park.
Thank you. And I guess through you, Madam Chair, I'm interested on the board's view because we've pushed this back to you quite often from the council table. In terms of your level of comfort with the policy that does minimise your involvement in this. So I guess I'll watch to see what the board thinks.
Yeah.
If the board's happy, then. But yeah, Councillor Dowler draws a good question in terms of the policy in front of us. It needs some work, so it's probably a redraft.
Yeah. Board Member Armstrong, were you going to?
I tried to understand. I'm not very good on legal stuff and documents like this, but I did work as hard as I could. I got a little bit stumbling on page 24, just towards the end of the change policy. There are 4 things there. First column, funds generated by the utilised for A, B, C, and D. When I read it here, D looked rather confusing. I couldn't quite work out what it was, but does it mean that the fund is building up and therefore any surplus to current requirements can be used by council for something else altogether? Is that what it's saying?
Yes. One of the reasons why it was placed with the enterprise committee was it was to be managed under a commercial lens. The purpose is to build the fund up as much as possible.
But if the fund is for, supplementary, if the fund is for the purposes that goes to, and then you say, well, if you build it up beyond a certain point, then you use it for something else altogether, doesn't that defeat? It's contrary to what you're saying that one of the purposes is to build it up further, but not for the purpose it's supposed to be there for. Sorry, I'm just confused.
The strictly speaking, the fund is meant to be invested in the Motueka Harbour area, and but if there's in reality in the past, if there's been investment opportunities outside, it has been assigned to those, but it's something that's always needed a bit of clarification.
I don't know how everyone's feeling, but I wonder if this state, yes. Yeah, we'll just.
There's, in the new, this new policy, there's only one mention of the community board being involved. It seemed to be rather sort of a minorish article. I was just wondering if there are, what sorts of funds that the enterprise committee would consider drawing down on, what sort of ones would necessitate or should come back to the community board as against those that we never hear about.
That's probably something I'm not really qualified to answer, but I'm happy to research and get back to you on that.
Do you want to?
I wonder if I can help, David. So we're doing this, a structure plan is what this looks like going forward. Yep. So the board will be heavily involved in the structure plan exercise as much as you want to be, but I imagine you've got a real interest in this. So my team is going to come and have a real good conversation with the board around what your vision is for the harbour, and also taking on board what the commercial people and the boat users, etc. So there's a bit of work to do prior to a conversation, I imagine, around where the investment goes, because first you've got to come up with what it looks like going forward. Does that help?
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying, yes.
My take on it is, and when you read it there, it says, in the event that the enterprise committee recommends the use of the funds other than for items A, B or C, which is maintenance improvements of any assets is held within the area, any maintenance and development of the Motueka Harbour, and council approved works in the Motueka Harbour and coastal reserve area. So A, B, C, that's where the money can be spent. Then if the money, or enterprise committee decides to spend the money outside those three, comes to community board for consultation. You read that? In the event that the enterprise committee recommends the use of the funds other than for items A, B or C, consultation with the Motueka community board will be required prior to consideration of any proposal going to council.
That's the matter.
Just following on from that though, but the councillor Darrell's point, my understanding is that's for anything over 50k, and otherwise the enterprise commission has absolute discretion to spend this funds.
Only over 50k.
Yes, it's only it's anything under 50k. As I understood, as I read this, is
That's correct.
enterprise committee, no community board.
So I understand.
So there you go. That's why, sort of, Madam Chair, it's really interesting. The community board's thought is that you won't have any say for anything under $50,000.
So is the board comfortable with that?
I'm not.
So
I think we need to at least put this aside. I think we're not, this is far too legal, far too, as I said, my personal take on what we get told here by our service provider means we need to really look at everything that's presented to us carefully.
And given the
and see.
information presented from public forum today,
Yes.
Ogilvy, it's quite helpful to probably do that workshop. So if everyone's happy to keep this table.
Just get two separate issues. There's the policy.
Yeah.
So we need some guidance on the policy. When you put it on the table, do you want us to go away and do some further work, or is just going to lie there and not change? So that's the first thing you need to give us some direction on.
So if I can help through the chair, the first thing, Mr. Red, is alignment to TRMP, not TUP. The maps, if they are maps that are just made up and not referencing the TRMP, who decided that, and there was consultation. So there's a few bits in the mechanics that are unclear of how that's happened, because we're quoting a document that was never ratified by council.
The second piece is the strategy plan. I'll come with the timetable. Just appointed consultants to have those conversations.
So do we need to move that it's tabled, or we just? Okay, so I'll move that we table this. Can I have a second? Deputy Chair Hutt. With the amendments, did you manage to capture them?
Are you leaving it to long table?
Yeah.
We need to go away and do some.
Yes, well, you don't need to have this moved.
Don't. Okay, great.
Right.
That's scary. Stays on the table. Thank you, and you're staying here because you're the next one. You are in the hot seat tonight.
I'd like to introduce my colleague, Grant Reboom. Grant's in charge of the reserves and facilities.
We are, so, right. Yeah, that's right. That one's staying on the table. We're moving on. It's gonna, she's abstaining.
We pushed for the community board to get some delegations. The community board needs to step up and say they want it.
Take one second.
Go with team, sorry, on that.
Museum one is tricky.
Yeah, bring it.
Council.
So just through the chair, I'm going to step back from the table from this because one of the options,
We'll just, you wanna step?
I'll listen with Mr. Strange back
You
here.
don't want to just step back for that one?
Oh, I think it's all part of you got
Right,
options.
yeah, okay.
So I'd already tabled that I'd be doing
Yeah.
that with the chair.
Yeah, I'd better do it too, because we got to vote again at the big table, don't we?
Yep. So all that very.
Oh, start a trend.
Be lonely. Yep. I'll have a minty, in some moments like these, you need one.
Is there a decision to be made?
All on us now. Nick, you're ready.
Oh, we have workshopped it and we.
I know, but I'm still like,
I know.
okay, over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As Ms. Sutton has pointed out, this issue has been around for a very long time, and we're hoping for a resolution tonight. The council owns 3 buildings in Motueka that either are not being used or require make it fit for purpose. Picture here is an aerial of our service centre in Motueka. We had a workshop 1 or 2 months ago, and we ended up with 5 and potentially 6 options. It's quite a complex issue, and there's a lot of balls in the air around this. So there's 6 options are option 1. We do a minimum upgrade and some maintenance to the service centre. That's a cost of about $300,000. The option 2, we do a moderate building upgrade, which will require us to sell 8 Hickmott Street. That's a car park next to the supermarket. The cost of that's $850,000. Option 3 is a comprehensive upgrade and extension to service centre, cost of about $2 million. The recommended option is option 4, where we do a seismic upgrade and refit of the old, or the previous, I'd say, Motueka library. Cost is $1.84 million, and that would be funded by selling 7 and 8 Hickmott Street, the service centre and the car park, plus adding in the the budgeted $300,000 as we have at the moment. Next slide, please. Yeah, sorry. We might have a different, a wee bit different. This option 4 would also require us to remove or demolish the Laura Ingram car parks, kindergarten, so that we could use it as a car park.
Option 4,
Yes, there's a slide missing there that's in your papers.
So, I'll ask a question through the chat, Nick. So the 1.84 million for option 4, just to clarify, is the demolishing of the Law Ingram building built into that 1.84?
Yes.
It is, yeah. Okay, thank you.
And there's a final option, I think if we, option 6 is to construct a new facility, which is about 5 million. I think we might leave it at that. We reviewed these options both from a non-financial and a financial perspective. If you have it, and that's shown on this table here, I'm not sure what's page it's on in your papers. From a non-financial perspective, the option 4, seismic upgrade and refit of the ex-library, was probably the best option, and ideally a construction of a new service centre was the second option, the second preference. From a financial perspective, line 8.1, the best option was to upgrade and refit the ex-library. We did look at what upgrades would be required to lease the Motueka Service Centre, library and kindergarten. In order for us to lease the library, we would need to strengthen it, which was essentially removing unreinforced masonry and replacing it with a lightweight cladding. Cost of that was about 490,000. And if we were to lease the kindergarten in situ, I guess the repairs we would have to do was estimated at $252,000. The recovery for us, if we were to lease the former library, a recommended lease rate of $68,000 a year, which would recover those costs over 7 years. And for the former kindergarten, if we went ahead and upgraded it, we would be looking at it from a commercial perspective, leasing it out for about $36,000 for the 7 years. I guess I'll take the papers read. Any questions?
So on the option 4, which was our third one we're looking at it, during the workshop, we were looking at parking, and I see there's 5. You're looking at 5 to 20-minute limited car parks on Parr Street outside the proposed service centre, because we were very concerned about people with disabilities, elderly being able to access it. And there was also talk about down the side where the old Plunkett rooms is, that maybe we could incorporate some easy access car parking there. You got any thoughts on that?
Parr Street parking, I think 1 hour. Just check that on the way here today. So that's immediately outside the ex-library building. There is also opportunity down the side of the hall, I think, for some.
That's what we were discussing. It's just, it's not written on this report. At 5.9. So we can clarify.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes. Yep. So really, we were looking at 30 car parking spaces if we demolished the kindergarten, and with 5 20-minute limited car parks on Parr Street.
And potentially utilising the ones along the side by Memorial Hall that were Ingram Park. Remember in our workshop, we discussed how many car parks potentially could be the Laura Ingram building stayed. And I believe there was enough room, I think, to access around the back near the tennis courts for parking. Do we know how many, if that was even doable, how many parks would potentially be there? Just coming from, public forum, talking about,
Just trying to add it up, actually, we've just driven through there, so there's about 8 car parks next to the hall and and about another 8 behind the Laura Ingram car park, so it's not that extensive. Yeah. I think car parking is tight out there, especially for the other facilities being used.
And addition, so one's out the front as well.
yeah.
Up 4.
So the 5 out the front that you would look at changing to 20 minutes.
Yes.
And the ones you would utilise some down the side where the pocket rooms is now, so that there's plenty of parking for people that are less mobile.
Yes, there would be, but we would need to demolish the kindergarten for staff parking and for visitors to the service centre.
Which is part of the option 4.
Yep.
Is there consideration around the museum's request for storage? Because we discussed it in the workshop, but I'm just wondering the outcome of this, given they were going to take on a bit of the cost or majority of the cost of sorting that building out if it remained.
I think the other options, if we weren't to turn the old library into a service centre, that do not include demolishing the Laura Ingram. There we go. But the costs to bring it up to a rentable specification is quite significant.
Right. Yeah. So that could effectively just be classed in option 2. No, not on option. Option 5? Yeah, option 5.
Yep. So if we were to adopt options 1, 2 and 3, we'll still have empty buildings at the old library and Laura Ingram. If we were to adopt option 4, which is the seismic upgrade and refit of the ex-library for a new service centre, we would need to demolish the old library. The option 5 was a minimum upgrade on one or a combination of all 3 buildings, so that we can lease it.
You mean Laura Ingram, not the old library?
Yes.
You mean
Yes.
kindergarten, sorry.
And option 6 is a new service centre altogether.
So with what was discussed in the public forum about the moving of the old Laura Ingram building to another location for storage, can you see that as a possibility?
Yep, absolutely. It's equivalent to a demolition of the site, freeze the site up.
So you would be willing to cover the cost?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Are there any questions?
Just one, I couldn't find anything anywhere about who actually owns the land at the old Motueka library. It is TDC that owns the land.
It's owned in conjunction with Wakatu. It's a shared ownership.
Which,
one of the couplets.
yeah, I know, because
Which has just been.
regardless, it has to be for a community purpose regardless of what happens, if it's.
Okay.
David, did you have anything you wanted to ask or add?
I've got nothing to ask.
Okay,
Decided how I'm going to vote.
all right, yeah, aren't we all? Are we ready to proceed to the recommendations? Yep. Okay. All right, so Yeah, I'm just going to have a look at. So let's just be really clear before I read this out. Option 4, which is the recommendation, is demolishing or removing the Laura Ingram. It is selling 7 and 8 Higmont, which is the car park plus the service centre that we currently have. And it is doing a seismic refurb at the old library and converting it to the new service centre and converting the Laura Ingram space to car parking.
Yeah.
Now, just want to be really clear on that because we did say in our submission that we didn't want to get rid of any valuable council assets. So I guess my last question is, would we class the current service centre as a valuable council asset?
Yes.
But the sale of that would be able to fund.
So it's just a cost benefit of this would be a more valuable for the council. I don't know because it's a joint partnership with Wakatu. So
I guess we do need to spend some money on the service centre. It's a building that was purchased by the Ministry of Works back in 1958, was upgraded in 1990, and there's been some upgrades since then. Whether it's fit for purpose, we've spoken with the staff out there. They would like a better interface with the public. There's a lot of issues with the building, particularly around the toilets and so on. We have some money to upgrade the toilets, but we're really it's a bit of a piecemeal approach to a wider problem.
Yeah.
Sorry, so I'm better all the time.
The challenge is you're still doing an old building, right?
And if we were to do up in whatever form the service centre, we still have the question of what to do with the Laura Ingram kindergarten and the old library.
Go for it.
It's having that long-term view on this stuff, right? Because if you have a short-term view, which that building could have what you could create 20 years out of it, possibly, I don't know. After that, you're going to be back again to square one again at some point. So you might want to think about 50-year window on this. I don't know if that probably hinders, but
That's what I'm thinking of, the long-term view. My view is we do a bare minimum upgrade, number one, because you don't know what's happening. You've got TDC and Nelson and Richmond seriously needing work. What happens if the new TDC building is built in Motueka being the centre? We have no idea. So I think we'd be prudent, frugal with our money.
So you have the option of putting forward an amended resolution to see if you have a seconder.
Well, I don't know. You upset the apple cart too much.
I'd just like to say something. Thank you to you guys. You've done your report on our preferred option from when we workshopped it. So we were all in agreement on the workshop that option 4, we would like you to explore more. And that's great that you have. And now I feel like we're all saying different options. So I'm confused.
Yeah.
We asked you to do a report on option 4, which was our preferred.
Yeah, obviously, Alderman Armstrong.
Okay, I'll just quickly say it, if you'll be here for workshop a lot, it's been talked about for a long, long time. I've battled with all the other possible things. I had ideas for a youth hub and all that sort of stuff, but we went through all that. To me, there's nothing in here that has changed my mind on that. So I'd like to move the recommendations there, 1 to 5.
Right, do it in one big bang. So seconder. So on page, it's not got a page number, but it's page 28. So
Start the
5.5.
So number one's receiving the report, two's confirming option 4 is preferred option, 3 confirms, can you see? No, so the very start. Number 3. And it's on the back of that page of number 3. Yep, turn that page. Yep, yeah. Yep, no, that's it there. Yep, yep. So I'm just reading from the top there. So number 1 to 5, it's basically accepting what
Yep, okay, I mean,
is option 4.
I'd like to second that.
Yep, so seconded by Chair Hutt. I'm in favour.
Yep.
Remember Hughes is in favour, so and it's carried. Done. But, okay, councillors, more than welcome to join in, please.
you guys are gonna do.
Nick and Grant, thank you so much. I know a whole lot of work has gone into this over many years and lots of talking to other people. And I feel that that's a really good balance, especially when there's the option of it being relocated for another purpose.
It's very complex, and I guess we are aware of the museum's issue with storage. We may have in Elm Street for the next 3 years. It might be used as an interim until it gets resolved as well. So.
By the minute.
So what am I focusing on? Oh, no, they're on. Just, it's tiny.
Yeah,
Tiny go first. Okay. Projects. Okay, so 8.5. Special projects and right, so have you managed to get your presentation?
Yep.
Yeah, no, got it. Got it. Bear with.
Did you rename it?
I just renamed it because it was so confusing.
Oh,
Just wanted to see what.
Sorry, Claire.
It's all right. It's just, it's just a blue public.
Damaged.
What?
File's damaged.
Sorry.
Yes. Got it, thank you. Everybody on the board, Claire sent through PowerPoint, and it says MCB, special projects. Oh, you're right for now. I just wanted to check, are you talking in our actions or the special projects actions at the end? Okay, cool. All right, so if you can look at that PowerPoint, because Claire's going to talk to it, and apologies everyone else, we can't get it up on there at the moment. But yes, yeah, so it will be.
It'll be part of the minutes, yeah, it's just,
Yeah, they
for some reason,
blocked onto the link to a private.
Yeah, you must have such a dodgy thing that
Well,
you're
it's
blocked.
lovely. I know.
All right, take it away.
So, you have, as our chair said, you've all received the email with the presentation. Nothing new in there. It was really just looking at the figures and basically looking at the 2023-2024 projects and then the new projects, 24-25, that have just gone out for public voting. I put quite a detailed budget in there so that you could see that the funding is there. And then we get a new round again, July, which is usually around 55. It's not confirmed yet, 55,000. In order to progress some of the projects, it was advised that we do resolutions individually for the projects. The pricing of the projects is accurate from feedback and quotes from the TDC Parks and Reserves team and other outside parties. There is just two comments I'd like to make. One, which we can put caveats in, of course, if agreed. The Motueka stonework welcome sign, that is, we're still waiting on Waka Katahi's approval for that. So, which is not going to be a 5-minute job. It took a while last time. So I guess it's approved. If it's voted on, approved on the proviso that we get that, and also the footpath crossing Rat Street and High Street intersection, rounded up 8,000, but Barry's got some information on.
Yeah, I have actually. What have I done? It's just been communicating with Steve Elkington, the council officer who's been dealing with it. Because I received an email from him later on to say that instead of $3,800, they were going to be $5,000 each. So I queried that. And what happened was the consultant who does the pricing was working on a table that Fulton Hogan used for a very basic crossing. Steve wanted to upgrade the basic crossing a little bit better. So that was why he was talking about 5,000. When I queried him about it, it said that Claire had allowed 4,000 for each, which was to 3,800 plus a little bit more. He come back and said that the 4,000 would be okay. But he didn't go as far to say that you'll just get a basic crossing, because that's the thing. So it's over to the board whether they want to accept the $4,000 and do the 2 crossings for a cost of 8,000, or whether you felt inclined that maybe it might be better to spend a little bit more to get a better outcome than today. So I don't know, maybe 2 crossings up to $5,000 each. And then we'll look with Steve through the fact that they're going to cost 4,500 or 4,000 or whatever. It's not my call. I'm just suggesting that we may get a better outcome. Like, we're saving a heap of money because they're about to upgrade the stormwater at that crossing. So we're not going to have to pay for any traffic management or anything like that, which will cost thousands of dollars. So we'll get better bang for, the best bang for buck is to do it now, which will be next month in June. The job will be done. And yeah, so it's just whether you want a basic or just a little bit better than basic. That's I'm not recommending either. It's whatever. It's going to be a good outcome either way. Better than what we've got. It's pretty shonky there.
So when is the deadline for Fulton Hogan doing the work before the horse is already bolted? When are they doing that?
The work.
Yeah,
It's programmed for mid-June.
right. So we need to make a decision at the next meeting at the latest. So that we don't have to pay for the traffic management.
Yeah, you did right
So-
there. Yeah, no, it's got to happen very soon.
Yep.
Tonight would be really good
So June.
for that part to indicate to him, yes, you'll spend 4,000 or 5,000.
So tonight.
So we can get it sorted
Yeah.
and then ratified at the next meeting or something like that.
I'm just conscious our next meeting's like the 3rd Tuesday in, so it might be a bit late, so we'd have to
Yeah.
decide tonight.
So they're doing the Low Street intersection and that intersection, the stormwater upgrades both at the same time, I understand, or one and bang straight after to the other.
Yeah.
And so the stormwater project is paying for that traffic management.
Right.
That's the bonus.
Oh, right.
That's where your bonus jump in. I could see probably $3,000 to $4,000 worth of traffic management. Fortunately.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so instead of letter H, fixed footpath crossing Rat Street and High Street intersection at 7,800, you're suggesting a potential increase of to 10K
Yeah, a maximum, up to a maximum of. And then let Steve work through that, and if he can get it done for 9,000, well, it's a bonus. If that works for you guys, it doesn't.
Yes, Grant.
Sorry, I've just got a question about school.
Oh, yeah.
Is this the appropriate time to comment on those?
Yeah.
So the number 7, the flush toilets, Walker.
Yeah.
Our staff have suggested that it might be more like $135,000 and $10,000 a year for maintenance. So
It's a portable unit like the one down at the marina.
so is that still a flush?
Yeah, it's a flush toilet. It's a single accessible. It's from the same place and it's actually from memory around 26K plus all the bits and pieces in the delivery. So there's a bit of a buffer there on that 35.
That's correct.
Staff, we're going to just on that one, staff, we're going to look into, because this came up last year as well, where there was an old building there, so it already had services. So Lynn, my understanding is going to be looking into that. Or if it needs to be, yeah.
All right. Number 9, the welcome sign, Motueka. Again, Barry probably knows more about this than I do, but the comments that I heard were that may need NZTA approval and traffic management. Just questioning the 15,000, whether that would be sufficient.
With the traffic management.
The 15,000 is not including traffic management. But it's, we'd have to have a look. I'm still waiting to hear back from Phil Hamblin from NZTA. I've been dealing with him. So I'll clarify that. So we definitely need to have a little bit of a caveat on that, approved subject to.
Sorry,
because they have to, they have to approve the location as well, how far off the road and et cetera, which will have an impact on traffic management, yes.
So through the chair, this is, I'm picking up on one of Grant's comments. So is there vision in Parks and Reserves budget to service the toilet at Walker if it's $10,000 a year?
No.
I guess that's one of the considerations. Can build, but
This has been raised a few times about making sure things get into the annual service management and maintenance. So how and when does that slot in?
Process September, October at this stage, unless we can absorb it something. I doubt that we can do that.
But through the chair, it's an issue we're finding when we've got new reserves coming online, new playgrounds. A lot of the time budgets, we don't increase our budgets to reflect that a lot of the time. We are getting stretched now. We are negotiating with our contractor to look into a new contract at some stage soon. They've got another 2 rights of renewal, but where our parks portfolio grows a lot of the time, our budgets don't grow apart from CPI increases, that sort of thing. So we've got to be mindful of that. So just a comment.
Sorry, Councillor.
Madam Chair, a question to you. I know we went and had a look at it one day at the old house.
Oh, yeah.
So is that, I'm not up to speed, is that house being demolished?
It got demoed around the exact time I was telling you about it. It got demoed.
Okay, so just my take is the toilet, I know the toilet you're talking about,
Yeah.
same down as a wharf,
Yeah.
you need water.
Yeah,
So you have to have a pub or something that's going to be connected to electricity,
yeah, that's part of this cost.
part of the deal.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, that's what I needed clarification on, was how you were going to flush it.
Yeah, yeah. Because there's a long drop further down the field in between the cemetery and the field, which not many people use. Even I seen kids at rugby the other day and they just went past that toilet and went into the bush. And I was like, okay. There's no tap or hand sanitizer or anything. No. So Yeah, but my understanding from the quotes from, and I can't remember who they are,
Yeah.
down the coast, it was like the whole sort of shebang.
So we'd still have to connect.
Still had to connect, which is what staff were looking at, costs of that, and also getting clarity around the delivery costs. So they have the address, but is that really getting it all the way to us, or is it just getting it to TDC and then TDC? So all of those little bits.
A little bit of work to do yet.
And again, on all of these projects, we were advised that note 4, staff feedback and the scope and feasibility on the special projects for 2024-25. That's all.
Yeah, thank you through you, Chair. This is a comment that was raised just recently at the Operations Committee over in Chambers, is what our staff here have just said. That, it's easy for us to sign off on a special capital project. It's not so easy for us to maintain its function. And, a pure case is that, Councillor Murray will share about his 6-year-old in the slide.
Yeah.
We sit here. I mean, I look at this, and thank you for the work that you've done, Deputy Chair, but we got 145 votes from our wider community over this, only 145, which is quite concerning in the big scale of things of how many people actually reside in Motueka, and our buy-in is 145 voices. And yes, we can deliver these things, but how do we maintain them and keep them to a level of service that's safe for our community? And if we've got staff already saying, yep, great, you can put that in for your 35K, but then what? I find it really hard to vote on something when the and then what's aren't covered. Because you know what? It'll filter back to me over in Richmond. And then I sit there with the argy-bargy of, so what level of service and what am I going to cut to be able to do our special project? So, yeah, I think we need to look at the bigger picture when we sit here going, yep, 145 people have said, yeah, and it would be great. Totally get it. I don't want people peeing in the bush. I certainly don't. And I certainly want them to have the availability of washing their hands or sanitizing. But if we can't afford it, we can't afford it. And I guess that's the hard call that you guys have as a community board, is to, that's not a one-off cost.
No, and the thing is, with our special projects, we can't put it into operational stuff, so we can't even put bucket towards it.
So the pram costing to me is a one-off cost. Putting other services in, they come with extra costs, and I guess we have to be good stewards of the resources that we have to make decisions on.
Which basically covers every single item in here, other than maybe the concrete pad that doesn't really need too much servicing, but everything we put through for special projects basically needs to relate back to, can we manage it on a long-term basis?
Through the chair, I think already the work we're doing and communicating is hugely beneficial, because sometimes it happens without us knowing it. There's no, so this is something that staff could say, yeah, well, as Grant has said, it's a 10,000. The toilets are high maintenance, let's face it. So things like maybe the basket swing's not so onerous on our contract. They're inspecting, but if it does break or we have to replace it, it'll be a large ticket item. But I think if we do have that communication, and we have, then these things can be, we can say, look, probably are not a good spend of money, or at the moment, it's tight in all of our budgets across all of council. But parks, I was going to say the poor cousin, but
the toilet's the issue, right? The other stuff, when you're creating the
facility,
the intersection, for instance, that naturally goes on our asset list. We depreciate. The issue is the toilet. So if you could maybe push the toilet out a bit later, just to line up with our
negotiations
next year.
Yes. Yep.
So if you could carry that over, I presume. Oh, it's 2024-25 anyway.
Yeah.
If you did this, because the rugby seasons will be finished, September?
Yeah, and then we move to touch.
It's highly used,
Yeah.
isn't it? So,
but one of the suggestions maybe is you push it out maybe towards this time next year, then we could have built in the servicing element into planning, and then it might not be such an issue.
Chair, I think it's, it's one item.
Yeah.
But it's a flavour of some of the issues that we're dealing with. In our maintenance budget isn't, there is an end. And sometimes, Grant won't like me saying this, but we get told off because sometimes we overspend. But we feel that overspending on some things like health and safety issues and replacing a slide is important. Putting in new assets, is quite a big impact, like a toilet. So, you're wrong, John. It is just the toilet that we're probably talking about. The basket swing's fine. It's a small item as part of our contract that we have. It's not a massive amount of money to inspect, but then again, when it does say get cut, vandalised, or whatever, then that item, might have to be replaced at whatever cost that is. So, just
Thank you. Board Member Armstrong?
I think this is also with regard to the toilets. The simple matter that 35,000 or thereabouts, it's actually 3 times the size of the maximum that we have in our rules, unless any extra money on a project is supposed to be first, a special urgent need or some reason why we're going to spend 35,000 instead of 12,000 as a maximum. So to me, it seems like not as urgent as, say, the skate park and things like that we've spent a bit more money on, because they were very popular, very it's needed. I think, if we set the rules 12,000 maximum, unless there's a special need, then to immediately go into something that's 3 times that sets a bad precedent.
We've got the, so we've got backing from obviously the local rugby club, but also Tasman Rugby Union and the Touch Association, because they're the heavier users and could run tournaments and stuff if they had facilities. And they have, the other weekend we had Blenheim show up and there's nowhere to change. There's no facility to use. So, so there is a need, but I don't know if those voices got captured there. I know we had a small window to get in. But we totally knew that that would be one that would be a bit more contentious given the price, which is a lot less than when we first went discussing this with Stephen around costs and everything else after the building got demoed. So it's sitting at a reasonable price from what it could have been. So this is the actual reason why we decided to lay these out individually too, so that we could get some stuff ticked off. Did you have anything else to add?
Just something else to add as well from the meeting we had on Friday on the historical wharf restoration. I've got clarification from, I asked Steve Richard for some advice on this, because there was talk about, would the 10,000 be used for a report, or whether we could stipulate that it would be used for bricks and mortar. And he was absolutely in agreement that it would be for bricks and mortar, because the funding for the reports and things like that would be coming from lotteries and grants and things like that. And we can stipulate that our contribution to endorse the historical wharf restoration could literally be for bricks and mortar. So just wanted to clarify, because there was a bit of rationale in it. Yeah. So we can stipulate that in the approval. Yeah. Sure.
A couple more items there, but I was waiting until we finished talking about the toilets.
Yeah.
Sounds like we have. Just the the picnic table at the Kumaras. We could, I think, add there what I think we decided that would be the northern end of it rather than the southern end of it. There's a difference. The southern end is part of an ordinary walkway. The northern end, it may be an iwi land. If you walk right out to the top of the Kumaras, and people should know where it's going to be, I think.
Yeah.
Just on that one through the chair, so that's Dock Estate. where that is located, so we would need to approach DOC and gain their permission, I guess.
Yeah, just to clarify that too, who's going to maintain that? That would be, you know, would DOC, if it's a DOC asset, then, you know, we want to make sure that they maintain that. So,
And just to mention as well, in that same location on the northern side, there is a new bench gone in there with a concrete pad. Which I don't know if you're aware that is there.
Steve, through the chair, Stephen Lynn might, I don't know who put that in.
Okay, yeah. So somebody approved that. I'll have to find
Yeah,
out who.
that would
yeah.
be, I'm not quite sure, but we'll find out. We can find out.
It's right down the northern end as you
Yep.
go through the forest area.
Yeah, it sounds like a nice walk. Shall we go for a walk?
Yeah.
Site visit.
Bring your torch.
Yeah.
Take the dog.
The trees there were 12 years ago.
Yeah.
With forest and bird. So we're clear, that's the location that we're talking about. The northern end.
Northern end. Yeah.
I then those with the resolution.
Oh, thank you. And I guess if we, for the historical wharf, do we want to, for F,
But it's for bricks and mortar.
amend that 10,000 to physical works or whatever the wording toward historical wharf restoration, just so that's clear that it's for something tangible. Councillor Maru.
My last question, I'm sure. So through the chair, like will that bricks and mortar be done in the next financial year, or is it going to be something you're going to hold for a few years? And like, do you need to allocate it now, or will you be doing restoration of bricks and mortar in 24, 25, or will it be 26, 27, 27, 28?
Who knows, but it will fall under our.
It'll just sit there like, and
projects.
you just keep thinking, you'll hold it.
Well, whatever our policy, so I can't remember off the top of my head, but if our policy states that it hasn't been done within 5 years, there needs to be a conversation then.
Yeah.
So we'll just fall under whatever the policy states. That's my understanding.
Bit like the through the chair, out of the 145 people that bothered to vote on this recent 24-25 round, F to J, 8 of those 145 people said, don't do anything, put all of the money into the pool.
Yeah.
So, and my argument to that is, well, that's all well and good. One, it's a drop in the ocean. You need to have a couple of zeros on the end to make an impact. And also, is the pool going to happen? You know, there's an argument about historical wharf. Is that going to happen in the next 5 years? We don't know. Is the pool going to happen in the next 5 years? So we could say, don't do any special projects that the community have asked for and put everything into the pool that 8 people asked for. So it's a balance, isn't it?
So is everyone comfortable to start moving line by line? Yeah? Okay.
Sorry.
There's a lot of work that's gone into this.
I know there's an awful lot of work. I recognise that.
And I guess just coming back to the argument of making sure that any assets that we invest in are looked after, like we've got this money specifically to help the Motueka community and ward better with adding these little things that we can do. So but it would be sad to see us not be able to achieve some of this. So yes to the improved comms and trying to get some of these things across the line. So sorry, Board Member Armstrong, you have something to say?
Often to save a lot of time and going through one by one.
Yeah.
If Robin has made those 2 changes to the ones we talked about, the bricks and mortar for F and the north end of the Coomeras for D, and we've agreed not to go ahead at this stage of the flush toilets, then we can just move it. Move the whole lot with those.
We also have an amendment to H. We've
Oh, yeah.
Mary's proposed that we increase that to 10,000.
I have amended that.
Oh.
I set up to a maximum of
Yeah.
10,000.
On.
David moving that.
So the
Second.
amendments I have made are to D, install a picnic table and seating at the northern end of the cameras on the foreshore walkway.
Yes.
You're not shaking your head, trying to get that.
I'm trying to find what page you're on.
I'm in the
page 56.
So I'm.
Thank you.
We go.
Under 24-25 projects,
Aye.
physical works towards the restoration of the historical wharf, $10,000.
Yeah.
Flush toilets are deleted.
Well,
We're going to relook
We're
at it next
roll
year.
Yeah, but they're not part of this resolution.
No, sorry.
And fixed footpath crossing at the intersection of Rat Street and High Street up to a maximum of $10,000.
Perfect.
Barry? That's the only change.
And then I guess the welcome sign thing will fall into place once, because it's all there. It's like, that's the amount that we're putting towards.
One that's included.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so,
And I'll second that, David.
so David's moved the whole lot, Claire has moved the whole lot with these amendments as a seconder, sorry. Sorry.
Just point of clarification, where are we at with the road management, with the sign,
So we're gonna leave it as this amount.
the 15?
Yeah, we're moving it at this amount, and if it comes over that or whatever, then it basically.
So the 15, that was a question that Grant asked, it was 15 does not include traffic management. So I'm just waiting to hear back from Phil Hamblin on, we're still negotiating location. Depending on where the location is, depends on, yeah, so the 15, the two that we already had were 10,000, or I think the Nelson one was 12,000, so costs have gone up. So it's 15,000 for the stonework and the carving. So it will match the one coming into Nelson.
There's no.
Who pays
cost
traffic
for the
management?
traffic management.
I'm just waiting to hear back from Phil Hamblin. Yeah, so that can be agreed on. One could do, well, it's only 15, it's up to 15,000.
Thank you.
Right. Everyone okay? Yep.
I'm just going to
Yes.
say something. I'm
Okay.
going with it. I'm
Okay.
going with it
Yeah.
because this has all been, our community have voted for it. And so I'm going with it because we are, but I just got to bring up the outdoor gym equipment. Great stuff. We've got outdoor gym equipment out there and now we're putting a sail cover over it. I'm sorry, why don't you just go to the damn gym? But anyway, our community wants it and yeah, sorry.
Different clientele
Yeah, I know it's a big one.
through the chair, sorry.
I have got one question through the chair. It's just following from Councillor August. So we're saying the resolution is going to be up to $15,000 for the Motueka sign, which will include traffic management plan. If it doesn't, it'll come back here. It's not going to get built off site.
No.
And you go, oh, whoops,
Yeah.
$10,000 traffic management.
Yeah, no.
It's a big one.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, so we've got a mover, we have a seconder. Put it forward, is everybody in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone again? Carried. Oh.
Thank you.
Oh, so thank you very much.
I want to get there before this was.
Carefully.
Oh, yeah.
Grant, David, so just.
Yes, yeah. I talked to, Paul.
Just to clarify, it's been agreed and stuff.
Yeah. Stay there.
Sorry, just to clarify, so it's been carried. But on note 4, in the special projects, that staff will provide feedback on the scope and feasibility. As Tony said, we have had a lot of communication, but the approval of what we've just moved and carried is on the feasibility and the scope from the staff. Am I correct in saying that was note 4?
Yeah.
Yep. I just wanted to clarify that, yeah.
Excuse me, Chair.
Sorry, councillor Madu.
So through the chair with the technical part, so that will still allow you through this resolution to work with those Rat Street crossings because you've already had that conversation. I was looking for that. The royal nod.
Clarify something, so. We do it first, don't we?
Yes, we are.
What, sorry, it's just clicked with me, so. Funding's been allocated, but you're required, but the requirement isn't feasible, you know, if it's not feasible,
Yeah,
we're not gonna do it.
if it meets this, what we've passed, all good to go.
Yeah.
If not,
Happens,
doesn't go ahead.
does it come back here to say it's not feasible?
Yeah.
At June's meeting.
Yeah. No.
What is that?
So the question was just making sure that
Should be answering for a staff report on that, and I want to speak there. Should be.
Yeah, I agree, I'm just trying to.
Mm.
It's, have we done feasibility? Do we know if this is feasible or not?
They are currently doing that. So Claire's been in conversation
There shouldn't be any surprises, so
with Lynn Hall and
Steve Richards, Grant and Tony.
Through the chair, I think the only issues we did have was with toilets, and I think it's the feedback we would see. And what's the other one about dock area?
Yeah.
And it's just the Motueka sign with NCTA approval question mark, so you're investigating that. But the rest we support.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess there is a comment here about shade sail over the gym. Generally, we did make mention of it being more appropriate for putting shade sails over kid stuff.
Playgrounds.
So that's, if that's come back in your feedback from the community to say, yes, we agree, then, we're not going to jump in there and say, no, don't do that. Generally, we'd prefer to probably have shade structures over, picnic tables or smaller play equipment, things like that. So, but if you've got feedback from the community, then it's what it is. So don't want to muddy the waters anymore.
More than 8
To be
people.
fair, yeah, we didn't get feedback this year on those ones. They were ones that didn't succeed last time.
Yeah.
So they've had some feedback.
They had a round last.
Just to be clear on that.
Yeah. So those ones went out as part of quite a broad.
Okay.
Well, they were
understand.
fed in, sorry, from the public and then came to the board and the board selected a certain amount. And those 5 that we just voted on then did not make that first amount. So
I understand. So it's been consulted on. Yeah. So I think it's pretty imperative that we do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We all good? Okay. Just while you guys are here, I think, is everyone okay if we just jump to special project section list, page 67? So we can just smash those out and then we'll go back to the board report.
Talk about them after they leave.
Yeah.
Tony probably actually got things in the report.
I haven't got pages on the list.
Oh. Oh, sorry.
So what do we, so just action list, is that?
How come it doesn't have a page on this one? Okay, so it's the last, it's the last
I've got it.
8.8. Yep. All right. Now I did want to question the first one, the Thorpe Bush one. Do we need to keep this on our register? Can we remove that and put like just a one-liner that's something we need to revisit? So I'm not sure, like this, I'm looking at the dates. This is like
2007.
carried in 2017, 2018.
Want an update on it?
Yes, please.
Through you, Chair.
Please.
So the Youth Council have embraced this piece of work. They have a competition being run at the minute at the high school for some artwork, of which they will be choosing 3, I think it's 3, maybe 4 to get printed? We're talking about the wraps.
Oh, no, what about the playground?
Oh,
Bush playground,
apologies, it's the same
but
area.
you're still in that loop, you and Tony.
Yep.
So this is from 2017. I just have a question around, because it's on hold. Can we take it out of our action register?
Sure, I think if you haven't allocated
Yeah.
funding or there's no funding to it, then,
Yeah.
you know, it's something that you might want to bring up
As a fresh, yeah.
as a fresh project. And it's the same with
Okay.
Main Street as well.
Is everyone okay with that? Yep. Trendy, are you okay with that? Okay, cool. So we will remove that project out of our register. Moving on to number 2, Dex Reserve. Now, hold on, page 69. So this is another, oh yeah.
An update on Dex Reserve now.
Dex Reserve, accessible playground equipment, yes.
So, through the chair. We've got about 3 weeks.
Thanks, buddy.
I know you like looking at pictures.
This is black and white.
It's not
You're spending lots of money.
No, it's a lot, nice and pretty.
Even table you bring some.
Front one's black and white. Which is old, black and white, they go, Through the chair, I believe there's some major sponsors that were raised in the weekend for the 3-on-3 basketball court. Well, there was some sort of gathering in Golden Bay as a fundraiser.
We've already worked out our teams for when we get one here, Brent. And I'm on Tony's team, just saying.
Through the chair. So thank you to Tarina and Claire and Trendy for being part of the project advisory team. We shortened down a lot of options to the option that you have in front of you, which I'll talk you through, but this option you're looking at is within budget, under 600,000, with a contingency of 17.5%, which is about $89,000. So what I'll do is I'll take you to the first pretty pictures. What we had to decide and what we ended up deciding on was where the pour and play had to go. And that's really around where the accessible pieces of equipment are. So please, through the check, pipe in any time you want if I forget something. And the only other change is not painting the 3-on-3 hoop platform.
Yeah.
So generally everything you've seen so far is encompassed in the design that you've got now. If we do find that we don't have to have any trouble digging down the 300 or so for the concrete basketball hoop, meaning there's no iwi issues, we'll have iwi advisors with us. That's the main risk. Okay, so that's where the main contingency amount is of 89, amongst a few other bits and pieces, but hopefully if that doesn't cause us any problems, we'll have another $89,000 that we can allocate to painting the basketball 3-on-3 hoop. And I guess extra seating or any other kind of smaller items that we might need to look at. And that'll come through a bit more of a project advisory, consultation as well. So all in all, I was kind of pleased. It's an engineer's estimate. So he's hoping engineers know what they're talking about. But it's going out to the procurement process with this one has been signed off to be able to go to a direct procurement process. We're going to go to Kamanu, who are part of NELMAC, and they've got a special team that deliver projects of this nature and have done lots of it. So they're currently pricing it, and I'm not quite sure what else I could before we give you some more comments, I'll just go to, Joe Bywater is our project manager. He's, we've direct sourced the tenders in Melbourne at the moment. The main thing is iwi consultation will be going through right throughout this process. Now, iwi have indicated they'd like to have some significance in this project. There's a number of options that we're kind of considering, and we'll continue to do that. But one of them is probably doing some sort of design within the pour and play, which has been done before. It looks really good. So we'll talk about that with them. It's at no more cost unless there's lots of different colours. So then also there's some questions around maybe naming pieces of equipment specifically. Like maybe the new carousel or something, I don't know. So those are the types of things we're working through. But I'd be happy to take any questions if you have.
Yes, board member Hughes.
Iwi interest, does that equate to money?
No, it's going to form part of the project.
Could cost more.
We're hoping we're going to get it all in and under the budget we
Have we been using our kaihotu? What iwi are we talking? Because there will be different views.
Yes.
As we've learned from the library.
Unfortunately, I didn't make that meeting, but Councillor Walker did, and so did Joe attended that. It was mainly around, I can't remember who our iwi, can you remember, Trundy? I don't have that.
Oh, I don't have the list written. I have a list of who attended. Sorry, I don't have it with me. We definitely had our new cadet there, and we also had someone else from, and not Renee, but somebody else within that team.
So
Renee's over this.
Oh, through the chair, sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've got support through our TDC, iwi advisors, absolutely.
Yeah,
So no,
would have
we're very
liaised with
very comfortable.
Ingram. Yeah.
I think the other thing to add around the corridor that we had with the iwi was that potentially some of the musical play equipment could be something that they would feed into with the design. And there was a strong push about having natural woods as opposed to plastic. Yeah. But there was 5 of them on site when we met. Councillor Dillon.
Just the pretty pictures. The only difference between the two is the colour of the
Yeah.
half court.
Yeah, I know, I could have just said it's going to be a.
That's right. Is there a,
My budget got already on.
is the budget different for that?
Yeah, slightly, 15K, about 15K, yeah, which is quite a lot, but I think we can get it for less. I think we did that at
I just said, oh, that's pretty.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask.
Yeah. Yeah, cool.
Questions?
I
Okay.
think it's fair to say, sorry to you, Chair, that iwi's biggest concern was a 3x3.
Yeah.
Because that actually requires us digging into the ground and doing some foundational work and will be disturbing, yep. So the rest of it, there was not as much pushback at all. Because we're just doing what above ground.
Yeah.
And if there was a shortage of funding, that would be the first thing that they would want us to be removing as opposed to the other equipment.
Yeah.
What are they worried about?
Well, how deep you dig, it could be archaeological.
Less than that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, burial ground.
Oh, yep.
Yeah,
yep, sorry.
just digging down a certain amount.
Yep, no, good, I understand.
I reckon that was Rotary Hoe deeper than that before I came in. Anyway, that's just my opinion.
Through the chair, I think they did have some issues when they went down here. I'm not quite sure about that, but Joe was a part of that, I think, so.
Yeah.
Because they've obviously dug out this site here, what was found here, they'll
I
have
think
some.
some things found here. Yeah. So, you know, that's why the contingency's there really, amongst other things of, you know.
And so, just to clarify,
And on the other side.
so it's not going to be a showstopper?
No.
Okay.
Basketball court.
No.
Yeah, okay, brilliant. I've got the dirt ready for autumn.
You'll get one up all good. I never did that.
All the competitions.
I never did that.
Well done.
Thank you, Tony.
Yeah.
That's
Thank you.
awesome. Yeah, really appreciate all the mahi that's gone into this.
Coming back, and I certainly will be asking you three ladies to come and help us if we need some more consultation.
Yeah. We'll bring a shovel.
Yes.
Okay, number 3, Maraho Sandy Bay. Yeah, I just had a question on that. Because in brackets, it's got, the resolution was 2022 and it's annual, but they can't be annual, no. It's just to be a one-off. Do we know what this, yes.
You can take the word annual out through the chair. But there was traditionally the association would come and ask for project funding for specific projects.
Yeah.
And they've been in hiatus for about a year and a bit.
Yeah,
So just out, but generally they would get some money from the board for a special project. Because obviously part of our, and the committee was quite strong. So there is no expectation of annual. But I guess the other interpretation is as it sits there and they draw when they need it. So they don't actually get it paid out. It sits in our bank account and then they usually draw when they need.
but would that look like an operational cost?
No, it's all
Or special.
something, or it's all CapEx work.
Stonework.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, like, if everyone else has to, like, our special projects have to come in and be approved each
They were. So the detail behind these was way back when this started.
2022.
I think it was before 22, 23.
Our lights are going to go down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was specific projects that made up that there was a contribution towards. Oh, it's our time, a special time of day.
You're right that bike, get the generator going, mate. We can.
So this is residual, so it hasn't been granted annually. This is a residual from the grant back in 2022-23. So they would have had a part payment of 12, so there's still $1,300 that was allocated back in 22-23. They haven't uplifted yet. But you could take the annual part out.
And so basically you're telling me it stays sitting in our special projects.
Yeah, so unlike.
I've used.
Unlike, so if the historical ward chose to uplift the $10,000 when it's granted, but not use it for 5 years.
Yeah.
They uplift when they use it, so they don't hold the money.
Right, so they can leave it here for 20 years.
No, it's up to yourself. It's 5 years in the policy, that's when it will disappear.
Okay, so we need to really check the policy. Sorry.
Through you, Chair, it's fair to say that they're now back, they've reformed, we're regrouped and we are regularly meeting.
Okay, cool.
Of which I go to on behalf of.
All right, so just an action for whoever does our special projects, we'll just remove the word annual, which I can probably do that because I've got a word copy. For number 3. And maybe the update is the group has regrouped. So they will be active and hopefully access the rest of that money that's in there.
New chair, new secretary, same trust, what do you call it, treasurer?
Number 4, cemetery. So there's work we've done. Oh, there was an update in there. There has been stuff that it's not in there though, but
Steve's.
oh yeah, there I am. Sorry, because mine goes to the other page. Yes, 72. Sorry, there is a big update here. Yep. That's what I thought.
So you're comfortable with what Steve said?
Yeah, is everyone okay with that? No questions? Okay. Number 5, saltwater baths. 26th of May and planting over winter. Yeah. May or may not have in that time frame, but that was the estimate. Number 6, Dex Reserve. Grand state tables and seating. Now, is that what's going on right here? Yeah, so that's underway. Yeah. Number 7, Travis Street, Esplanade. I don't know, does anyone want to add anything to that? No? I think that's all of in June. Yeah. So we'll see that in during the meeting then, yeah? Okay. All right, so I don't need to move anything here, eh? No, we're all good. I'm just receiving the report. So I'll move that we received it. Councillor Dallas second. Everyone in favour, aye? No one against? Nope. Okay. So let's shift over, but I do need to go to the wharepaku, but we will shift over to the board. I moved Barry second to 8.5 in 3 minutes. Yep. Oh, no, not 8.5. I'm sorry.
Alice, you have that quick huddle before the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm just gonna-
Okay, we'll resume meeting. I'm on page 58. Take it as read. Now there's one thing I just wanted to note and just a heads up really. So last Friday, we held a community voice meeting, which was we probably had about 20 attendees. So these are different people from the community that we'd reached out for about 40. This is around the initiative of bringing the issue of homelessness and housing crisis, plus the youth engagement and attendance to the table. So some really good kōrero and discussion, very focused, solutions focused, lots of issues and challenges as well. I still haven't had any time to actually collate the information and distribute it, but that's my job this week. The one thing I did want to just put it to the board, your feelings around this. So part of the initiative is collecting the voice of those that are impacted. So tomorrow I'm going into the high school. I've been out on the streets talking to some of the kids that I know of that are disengaged with school. But the high school have carved out some time for me to go and meet with some kids that are keen to sort of say why they do like school, why they don't, why they're engaged or disengaged. And it is at the Tematu, so it's the whānau class setting. Part of that is I would like to take some kai for that initiative, which would come out of the board's budget. Now, I did get advice from finance around, and Councillor Murray, you might be able to help with this, around the discretion around that limits and stuff. But there was two things, as I was looking at the youth initiative budget line that we have in the advice was perhaps just use all expense if the board's okay. And then later when we do another financial analysis that we can look at shifting money around to tag it to whatever. So there was a couple of things. So one's around just taking some funds, or I don't know, haven't really put much thought into it. And then doing maybe some vouchers like subway vouchers or something so that they can go into, if they're providing some feedback in that for their time, they'll go into a wee draw and maybe we draw out a couple of $20 food vouchers. So yeah. So is there no one not happy with that want to?
Yep, I'm
Cool.
So through the chair,
Yeah.
to say to Emma, can we have a morning tea or something and she'd code it? I suspect the community board expenses, which you've got a lot of because it was an extra training budget.
Yes.
So you got that budget, but I just used to, and Emma would arrange it, pick it up from somewhere.
I've been doing a lot of the ranging lately.
It should be much cleaner for you that way.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the. Yes, I'm just conscious that I'm going at 11 tomorrow, so I've just grabbed some bits from the supermarket and do a reimbursement through board expenses. Yeah.
It's really important that the kai is suited for the people who are going to consume it, and not necessarily one of those platters would be really suitable for some of those students. And I totally endorse that you need a incentive for them to engage in talking with us. So totally support that, getting a couple of vouchers to go on a draw for choice.
Yeah. And this is an ongoing thing, like I've pretty much got all of June to try and touch different parts of the community, not just our high school students. And on that, because I just seen Councillor Walker's face, the June 10th, so the ministers now, the national ministers have to be in cabinet on Mondays. So we're having to reschedule our June to August 14th. Which doesn't align with the kaupapa that we were trying to get it done in the week of Matariki, like before Matariki, because it was about like Matariki's a new year. So it was about like, this is all the old stuff that we're dealing with and we've got some ideas for some new stuff. And that was the whole purpose of trying to meet June. I will send out an email with the details because I still have to send official invites to the ministers again with the new date. So I'll let you guys know. Anyway, that was all I wanted to touch on, I think, for myself. Anyone else? Yes.
Talking about 4.1.2, 4.1.2.
4.1.2, modification complete. Oh, yes.
And all Talbot Street cycleway walkway improvements, including night lights for improved safety.
Yeah.
I had an occasion to call into the sports park on my way over to the dentist today to check on something under the grandstand. And while I was there, I thought I'll have a look and see how our new walkway cycleway looked. And they installed 15 upright lights for people at night to go down there safely. 5 of those lights now are on an angle like that. Now, whoever done a bloody good job because they're actually concreted into the ground.
So these full length?
No, they're below the fence. I made them put them below the fence so they didn't light up anybody.
Oh, I was going to say, okay.
So they're about chest height,
Right.
which I think is too high.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've got hold of the staff and they're going to have a look at it and see what can happen. But really,
It's along the fence line, is it?
pardon?
It's along the fence line.
Yeah, so they shine out over
The runway, yeah.
Yeah, that's right too. Yeah, planes can actually land on it. It's wide enough. Anyway,
Yeah, it does. That's what I thought.
but you know, someone's got into it and it really guts me. Anyway, that's part of life.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just going off beat a little bit just while you mentioned sport park. Quick question. Cameras.
Cameras
Yeah.
or
Sports park.
the talking with the staff that we did was nearly $3,000
Yeah.
for the cost just to put 2 cameras in there. So with what we've done, everything seemed to have gone away.
Great.
Touch wood.
Yeah.
Whatever. There's been nothing.
They have a new location now.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay.
So we haven't progressed it any further. And we're about to start replacing the broken seats in the grandstand. So I've got 20 to replace, I think. And if they keep getting trashed, they're actually trashed by the public on the Saturday during the games.
Yeah.
We'll get cameras put up.
Even the signs, if the signs could be also on the other side, the seating side, because they're on the side that you walk into it.
Yeah.
But if you're sitting there and can see that sign, I think that might be a good deterrence too, that they, yeah, that might help.
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, but thanks. Yeah.
Cool. Anyone got anything else to add? David, did you want to touch on, so everyone, David's done a wee, had a paper just around operations. Councillors already know you were there. It was more for the board members who managed to attend. That's just for our FYI. So thank you for attending them. Did Councillor Dowler or board member Hughes want to touch on 5.2?
Okay, so the aeroplane is still being serviced in Timaru. The
Okay.
plane, or the old plane coming back.
Yeah.
Haven't asked them for an update on fly time yet. They were still waiting for the parts in the container, which was coming from overseas. So
it'll be held up.
Stuart Bean did a verbal. I did a verbal on his behalf to the annual plan. We had a lot of annual plan speakers regarding the increased fees and that.
Yeah.
pretty much it. And I understand one of our main, I won't say complainants, but question askers of the airport has left. Yeah, is that right? You know? Daniel. Be gone.
Looks like it, doesn't it? Another one straight out of town.
Don't know.
Anyway, so,
Thank you for your update.
okay, I believe this has gone way beyond some noise. The council received many complaints about the aerodrome operations in the past and recently complaints from Roger and Sandra Clifton, Paul Mosley and Daniel Bilsmeyer. It appears that noise complaints have never been addressed properly by the council. Council appears to have rather tried to shut down and silence complainants, even purporting incorrect information. And I've provided much emails to you, and as you can see, the complainants have passed it on to various, to the CEO and the mayor. And what is really concerning to me is there's no replies. I've been forcing the issue and I'm getting what appears to be a computer-generated response from some place called feedback. So this has been going on for nearly a year. There are clear consent issues been brought up here. And our consent team, which I know act very swiftly, the next morning, in fact, don't go near it. In fact, it's been left up to Councillor Dowler to deal with complaints. And, it has to go to the regulatory committee. Now, I myself have gone to them with concerns and they don't even bother to reply. Okay, we've got some serious issues here. And as a community board, if the Tasman District Council are not going to do anything about it, then it's up to the community board to do something about it because we are affected by this. Okay. You know, I could go through so much stuff here, but for me, it looks like back in 2009, 2011, we, the community board, were obviously pushing, along with the Wakatū Corporation, to amend the zoning to allow for light commercial. And it was declined. And Wakatū Corporation, and here are the exact words, Wakatū has queried why the land at the northeastern end of the Motueka Aerodrome runway between Whakawira Street and Green Lane has been removed from the light industrial zone. It has requested that it be reinstated as per the structure plan map. So Wakatū have queried why the zoning has been refused. The answer coming back from TDC is the land has been kept in Rural Zone 1 because the Civil Aviation Authority has provided information on several serious events of planes crashing at either end of the Motueka Aerodrome runway. Now, in a complaint, I read that the CAA are sort of saying, well, we don't know anything about it except for one plane crash, which is well documented. So either the Tasman District Council know about serious crashes at both ends of the runway, which they haven't told the CAA about, but it mentions that it's CAA have advised them. And the CAA, from what I've read in the complaints, hasn't. So what do we believe? Do we believe this or do we believe CAA? Someone's not telling the truth. And nobody is even bringing this up. No one is even looking at it, especially not senior management and senior elected officials. So there's so much more in here to read. You only need to read my emails. As I said, I've got absolutely nowhere. The CEO is not talking. You've seen my responses on just about everything. So it's, we could go through Mr. Clifton's and Mr. Mosley's complaints, but look, there's so much to touch on here. I mean, look, I've got pages, absolute pages, but that one example there, I believe, is enough. Who is giving us incorrect information? It's not happened just once, it hasn't happened twice. We all know as community boards, we have been given incorrect information. But hey, as I said, so either we need to do something about it, or we need to tell me, Nick Hughes, community board member, that I'm wrong and this is right, and all the other things I'm bringing up about. It's as simple as that. Either I'm right or TDC are right.
Okay, so there's a few things, and we'll come to Councillor Dowler to speak. But you're touching on a few things, and I guess some of those we're not in a position to answer. We're aware that staff are overloaded, so that may be some of the reasons why we aren't getting responses. But the expectation is that there should be a response within reasonable time, yeah? You're also alluding to community members who have been engaging with council on these matters, yeah? And maybe not feeling like they're getting anywhere and they're bringing it back to the board. So I'm just going to hand it over to Councillor Dowler, because obviously you're involved with the aerodrome, and if you wanted to.
Oh, well, you
Speak to-
know, I know of 3 incidents of aeroplanes or microlights not doing what they should do. 2 were the parachute planes, and both those events were attended by the fire brigade, emergency services, police, ambulance, the whole 9 yards. So I don't know where CAA are saying that they don't know about it, because I'm pretty certain that there was air accident investigators involved in both accidents to try and work out whether it was plane fault or pilot fault. And I'm pretty certain, don't quote me, but both outcomes were pilot fault, nothing to do with the plane. So the other microlight one was Sufred Khan, who used to live down Ferron Street. He ran out of fuel and had to do a crash landing in a kiwi fruit orchard.
I'm surprised of that.
Yeah, and he admitted to me the day after. I looked at him, I said, "Oh, you're not hurt?" He said, "I was bloody lucky. One night I ripped the wings off me microlight." He said, "But I walked away." Landed between a row of kiwi fruit. Anyway, that was it. So regarding the 2 other planes, I can't understand why CIA are saying they don't know about it, because they must.
Well, this is all to do with it's in there. It's everyone. If you read it, it's there. It's all in black and white. It's all in black and white. And this is just one example, but I could go through so much here, and read them out, but we'd just get lost in the.
I just have one question for you, if that's okay. The Cliftons, they live up on the hill. How long have they been there? How long have they lived there? A couple of years, 10 years, 20 years?
I'm unaware of all that. As I said, that all I know is that people have come to them with concerns, just like people have come to us about concerns with the oak tree leaking.
I'm just trying to get a feel, because Stephen Batt and myself are going to make a commitment to go up and have a chat with them, and I should get a bit of background on it. I didn't know whether you might.
I'm over the help through the chair. So because Mr. Clifton and Mrs. Clifton put me before a community board meeting here, and I don't know if they've lived there for a long time, but the flight paths changed. So they weren't in the flight path, and so they rerouted the flight path, which meant they were impacted.
That's fair enough. That's cool. It's good information.
But I've got a question. It might be Mr. Britt. So the board appoints a community board member to the Motueka Aerodrome Committee. We have it's chaired by Motueka Board Councillor and Deputy Councillor, and the Motueka Community Board appoints the community rep. So is there any report back to the Motueka Community Board?
Sure.
I'm not sure what the delegations are.
In terms of the activities.
Yes, so the board definitely is involved in the appointing of the community member and a board member. So I just wonder if that's the answer. Does there a report come back? But I don't know where. It probably goes to enterprise now, and that's the greyness of. I'm not sure where it reports.
Well, it's easy. Sorry.
It's an advisory.
Motueka Airport Advisory Group.
Advisory
Has its own
group.
minutes, has everything.
But does it meet?
And I sit there as a
Public
listening
exclusion.
person, not,
So they have public.
or it's chairs away, I step in, and
So sorry, through the
I'll
chair.
just confirm there's no delegation for that advisory group.
No.
Yeah.
So through the, is there public excluded?
no,
Oh, so it's another group.
well, we
We
can.
can have, we used to have what they call the Ames report,
Right,
which is the aircraft movement report,
okay.
because there were names and how many flights were done, and the operators were saying they felt that their movement should be confidential. They were paying their money. No one needs to know anything else.
Mm.
But eventually.
Because I guess I know snippets of both parts of that in terms of the cost in finding information, but also I had absolute sympathy for the time it took for the Cliftons to get a response. And I wasn't sure where it was covered. Like, I don't know if it goes through the Motueka Aerodrome Committee, whether it goes through Enterprise, whether it goes through. I don't know where it came from, but I was CC'd into those in the early times in terms of the lag was a long time.
That's this, I think we did safety and operations.
Right. Well, I don't know.
To answer the question, they've lived there 10 years.
I've been there 10
10
years.
years. We just looked back on.
So the airport's been there 100, so they knew about the, but they didn't know
Life
about the
path
flight.
change.
Okay, that's cool.
I don't know specifics, but having been a senior officer with an airdrome in Towball, I know that we used to have advisory groups, which is about how the airdrome operates in terms of leases and licenses, and then there'll be a safety advisory group, which is usually made up of airdrome users
Same here.
or same here. It's a similar principle. This is an uncontrolled airdrome. And significant duties under CAA legislation around duties of users in there to report near misses or incidents as accidents. So CAA would have every incident. But I suppose what I need to understand is there's some questions been posed by yourself. And what you're saying is you haven't had a response to those questions.
The issue is here is that we have a regulatory division. Complaints have been laid and they have done nothing. There is clear breaches of consents here that I can see. Okay, no one is saying no, they're not. No one has come back and told these complainants anything. They keep coming up with the same.
So these are complainants to do with?
Well, to do with all manner of things. To do with have you not had anything to do with this?
No, and that's what I'm.
Who is in charge here of complaints? Who is in charge of Motueka Aerodrome? Who runs it? Stephen Batt. So Stephen Batt hasn't replied then.
No, consult.
It's an unmanned. When you say in control, what do you mean by that?
Well, who's in charge of all this? To either deny, accept, or challenge?
So where did the query you sent to? Where did that go to?
The query, I am an unreasonable complainant. Okay, so everything I do goes to the CEO to decide upon better action. So this goes straight to the top. But for me, people lay complaints against their neighbour, against anything, and the regulatory team are right there, and they're into it. Yet complaints are laid against the Motueka Aerodrome. No disrespect, Barry. Nothing is done. I have gone as far as laying complaints now, and absolutely nothing, not even a reply. Now that reeks of double standards, and I'm afraid I was going to read this out because I didn't want to lose too much here, but council is in grave danger of losing all credibility here over this matter. It's a year now, and we're still going backwards and forwards, and there's just been a wall of silence for months.
Sorry, I don't know the matter.
Yep.
That's why I'm asking the
Well,
question.
perhaps we need to go to the CEO. Well, it's actually, I already have. We're past that now. It's clear. I've emailed you all, I've copied you in. We've had a meeting about misinformation. It's time for action now. Okay, there has been, and it's not just the Motueka Aerodrome, that's just another subject matter. The subject matter changes, but the same, gotta be very careful here, the same service provider names come up. Now, for me, I've reached that point now where I am going to make quite a bold statement here.
Just before you do, through the chair. So back to my original question is, it would be really good to understand the relationship between the board and the Motueka Aerodrome Committee. And if there's any report back, it seems weird that the board will do appointments to that committee and not have any interaction. And then in regards to any of the concerns, where do they go? It sounds like they go to enterprise or commercial in terms of, so where do the responses to complaints come back from? I guess that's the two things while you pause about saying something you might regret.
I think complaints will obviously go through our complaints process, which obviously is going to the CEO office, so I'll follow that, find out what's happening tomorrow. I guess, from a board direction, where do you want us to go with this? Because picking up on your point there, councillor, is a report back here in terms of the activities on.
Even the first step is what is the relationship with the board? Is there any with the Motueka Regional Committee? Yeah, and that's the weird part is that,
There's something formal coming back to the board as in a report or an update or.
yeah, I'm not sure. So I'm not sure where the minutes that go, probably the enterprise. Other public, yep. Other public.
Sorry, board member Armstrong.
No, I'm the representative of the board on there. I've been to 4 of the meetings now. They're every 3 months. And Trinity might say that I've missed a whole lot of things, but I can't recall anything that I would want to report back on.
Okay.
That as much, it's all very detailed about operations and hangars and it's really.
So there'll be 2 parts. So I'm sorry, councillor. I mean, what you're saying is a safety committee. Which will
The safety committee meets in the morning. I don't go to that.
Yeah.
But I have been invited.
So you as a councillor?
But
or
I'm
as a
just
person?
going to attend. There's actually not a council that attends.
So
to that
you're-
already, but I'm going to go along.
So you're attending as a member of the public as opposed to a council?
Whatever, Nick, Jen and Stephen said come along.
Okay, so that's your safety committee stuff, which
Yes,
they'll be reporting coming through that.
You know, I chair the afternoon meeting.
And then there'll be what's the airdrome look like going? What does the airdrome look like in the future? Or leases and licenses and things like that?
We said that, well, we recommend the development plan.
They're always 2 separate conversations from my experience. So what I'm hearing then is reporting.
First, the understanding of whether it's appropriate to report, if they're available publicly. The second part is, if there was issues around operation on the airport, would that go to the Motueka Airport Committee or would that go somewhere else?
So if it's safety issues?
No, if it's lease issues and consenting issues.
Well,
So if it's land use.
It'll go through to enterprise, yeah. Okay, so any development decisions, conversations tend to happen at enterprise.
Okay, so that's.
Does that help?
That is really helpful. Yeah. Because then it wouldn't be a report back necessary to the Motueka Community Board.
No, it'll go through enterprise and those, I imagine those minutes are freely available to, unless they're in confidence. They're commercial conversations, so I imagine there's still confidence.
And so the reason I asked that through the chair is, you know, as board members, you can advocate, ask questions and do so much, but understanding the environment which you're advocating, asking questions and doing that in. You know, so like a lot of subcommittees where this person's going to this one, this person's going to this one, there's some repercussions from, you know, going, oh, good, we've got that person doing that. If you don't have any feedback, and we don't, and I know you tried to do that in your chair's report, feedback from the subcommittees that you're on. But yeah.
I would say that airdromes, from experience,
The most highly regulated activity this council does. That's fact.
So, Nick, are you happy with the next steps of John?
So shall I go through this?
Yeah. Oh, hold on.
Certainly appreciate
Yep.
John following up, but as I said, for me, it's the Tasman District Council have drawn a line in the sand as far as I can see. It's unfortunate that I've tried all avenues, but clearly these people are not getting answers, and it's been going on. As I said, it's been a year. It's over a year, isn't it?
Because this is in public. So-
That's why I'm being very careful.
So these are people you're representing?
No, these are people that have come for complaints, and I've been on the sideline. I've let it go through the proper channels, and I'm seeing the proper channels not working, as I have found with the proper channels not working. I myself have, I'm 2019, I put a question to the council, and despite numerous attempts, they're still refusing to answer. I could just go on and on and on here. The issue is unanswered questions and double standards. And until we get an independent investigation, we are going to get nowhere, because we're just going to move on to the next problem and the next problem.
This might be helpful, Madam Chair, but through the chair, would you be willing to wait till next meeting to see if Mr. Reid can follow up to see if there's any progress?
Yeah.
Because in fairness, it's the first time Mr. Reid's did this.
But look, I so appreciate, John, you offering to help. I really do. But the people above you have already refused. Okay, this is where we are. You've got the emails. Please tell me.
Let's see what progress we can get with Mr. Reid, and we know that
New eyes, new perspective.
yeah.
And through the chair, this is the first time this conversation's been had formally around the board table.
Yeah, well, I didn't want it to get to that.
So, no, so that's a little bit different, and I guess that's a good progress, to be fair.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, so there's some questions have been asked, and it's fine what they are, and then the relationship the board has with the airdrome advisory.
It's not.
Because that way we can get them to
Tasman
feedback.
District Council, not so much the aerodrome.
So
The
you're
aerodrome
council
do
on this.
what they do.
Yeah, just interesting what parts play well.
Yeah. All right, okay, enough on that, sorry.
Bring something back for June's meeting, yeah? You might have a flurry of answers over the next few weeks. Okay, moving on. If there's no other discussion, can we just quickly touch on items? Oh, no, I haven't finished. Still got to do this and the actions. Items from public forum. I don't know if there was, deputy might have some, obviously David Ogilvy's, what museum?
Oh, I did have one on Ray Harrier's. Sorry, I'm jumping.
You're right,
Has
so
anyone
we'll
got
go with what
comments
you're
on the
feeling
other
and then
ones?
we'll go back and revisit the others.
And this is probably going to go down like a couple of cold sick, but I have to get it off my chest. So Ray Hellier, we didn't know what he was going to talk about. It said in the report, unable to let us know or.
Meant to be council values that came in late.
Council values is coming in late. So, to my dismay again, he was standing there. Sorry, I'm just talking candidly. He was talking about the buried cars again. We've already discussed this before. So looking at the standing orders.
Sorry.
Why don't you get through
Yeah,
the
we'll
board
do it.
report, and then if you want to move on to confidence. and then-
I can speak to this.
Hold on, we're gonna talk about that after. We're just gonna quickly touch on Chris Sutton and David Ogilvy's.
David Ogilvy's on hold.
Yep. And Chris Sutton, so I worked out that's potentially $450,000. Well, if we split that 1.8 million up between the three museums, worked out to be about $450,000 each, which is not what is happening. I'm just touching on how she feels that they are, hard done by with the only getting $100,000 out of that 1.8 towards the museum.
So
Is that what I heard?
Yes.
So why don't we provide you with a breakdown on that? Because I would try and do it at the top of my head, but I was trying to find the numbers. Why don't we provide you with a breakdown of that?
Yeah.
Because it's not as straightforward as that. Yeah.
No, but that's what I'm saying. If it was a fair split, but it's not.
But what I would say is you need to think about the longer term, what's the longer term things you want to do around this going forward, with the next long-term plan, next annual plan. So just have a bit of think about where you want to sit with the council, but I will give you, as with the museum, but we will give you a breakdown of those grants that go out to museums around the district.
Thank you.
Answered a query about the building when you made a decision to recommend to council.
Yes, but then there is the option of it to be relocated with the support of council. So I guess that's another thing.
That's got to go.
Yeah, that's sorry.
That has to go to full council.
Yeah. But perhaps we haven't got an action down against that, do we?
Sorry, I was just saying, sorry.
Just saying with the options that we decided on, option 4 for the library and the luring going, staff members confirmed that there is an option that that building could be relocated as part of. So what I'm saying is,
There is.
where's the loop that we close that it
Well,
go to council as an option, or the conversation's going to happen?
it is a loop closed, but what I would say is that as we've seen in Nelson at the moment, the whole archive centre there is about being, there's a whole lot of stuff you need to do to keep stuff preserved.
Yeah.
And that's what I was alluding to was, you know, you're talking about doing this, which is fine, the way you invest in, but you're moving an old building.
Yeah.
And that old building will be a significant amount of money spent on it. We need to do some work on this to make sure viability of that. I wouldn't hang your hat on it. That's what I'm saying.
I guess it's more making sure that that conversation goes back to the museum as an option, and if that's something that they can find that's feasible for them, because they were going to take care of those refurb costs, getting the temperature.
Let's
going.
follow that one through. Okay.
Councillor Walker.
Can I just ask you, through you, Chair, that the community board keeps informed about, so if it is a legitimate thing to move that building, that this board has some input into the new location of that said building?
I'm just playing in my head. I don't even know how they would actually physically be able to move that from where it is, because it's behind the memorial hall.
Got the big fresh new trailer in the area now that will just about turn on its head.
Oh, yeah.
But it's the site that's going to be moved to that of interest to me.
Sorry?
It's the site that's potentially proposed that it would be relocated to that is of interest to me. So I'd like the board to be part of that journey if that was to progress.
If it ends up, yep. So I guess that's still that action of closing the door. Yes.
I think it's through the chair. There hasn't been a wide request to other groups that might also be interested in that building.
Good point.
That's just, so who knows? I don't know. But
So like you said, we won't hang our head on it, yeah?
Any minute now, we're going to have an alarm go just quietly.
Oh, really?
no, he's the king library man. He's clever.
Oh, I need to get prepared to pick up quickly. Okay.
I didn't realise that, but if he, oh God.
Do you know the code?
No, I don't know the code.
We could be a boarding our meeting.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
Let's make it quick.
Let's move on, yes. Imagine if we were 6 weekly, we'd be here till like 9 o'clock. Okay, so we're all okay with everything for the forum. We're going to move over to the actions really quickly in the board report. Bins are all underway. Councillor Walker has got some 3 rep designs that are potentially moving forward. Yeah. The next item, board workshop for, so we will get round to that, Councillor Murray. It's just we've got a lot on our plate. So this is around looking at our standing orders. So for example, when we had speakers speaking for 10 minutes, it's not actually in our standing orders, so we're amend that. Page 6. Yeah. We've covered that one.
Yeah, it's on my list.
Yes, yep. That'll be next month, hopefully, or maybe July. Maintenance on tables at Motueka Bridge, so include as part of maintenance schedule. That one is okay, because that's actually just been passed in special projects. Twin Oaks, I don't really need to talk too much about that. I'm going to catch up with a couple of residents and give them feedback from the arborist that had a look, who was quite satisfied with the work that TDC had done to them.
I used to work there before there was a subdivision.
Like Twin Oaks.
At Twin Oaks, yeah, it was Lenny Park panel bedding. And there was actually more of those trees and they cut them down. It was very sad. But I was told when they were subdividing that the areas around the Twin Oaks were going to be a reserve. Well, there you go. It looks like a bit of a walkway and a tiny bit of greenery.
Yeah.
Which is really sad. And obviously these people are either facing the horrors of having to clean their gutterings like many other people, or perhaps it's probably just a shade issue, as I'm finding with a lot of things.
So
But-
there's a few problems, like, so a roof has been, so it's not going to have its full lifespan because of the sap.
Yeah, but
So there's a few issues, and yes, I understand council actually tried to purchase those properties to become the reserve of the developer because they were concerned that it would create some damage. So it didn't, they did try, yeah. And they did talk to the developer about not building it so close to those trees, so.
well, enough said then, sorry.
Yeah.
Just my.
Yeah, so I'll just,
Trees.
so I'll just move the board report. Can I have a seconder, please? Board member Armstrong, everyone agree? Yep, anyone against? No. Okay, so the last item is the finance report, which is 8.7, page 65. I just wanted to quickly point out the historical wharf restoration report still isn't listed on here.
That was my query, because I was hoping that it wasn't under Keep Motueka Beautiful, which is the 3rd of April, $700.
Oh, good.
I think it's been
Thank
listed
you.
incorrectly.
Okay, so I will follow up with,
Because that's going to jeopardise them applying again within the next 12 months, because it's the
yes.
war committee, not people.
So, Robin, just an action for me, in the financial report, I will follow up, regarding that last line item, Keep Motueka Beautiful, to confirm that they haven't mistaken it for the historical, report. Or find out.
Why don't we do that for you, because that's really relevant.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Robin.
Place your name, John.
Perfect.
From Plan B presented it, so it's easy mistake.
Yes, yeah, okay. Is there anything else in here? It's helpful now that we've got those dates next to the things so we can keep track. Okay, all right, so. Yeah, councillor Maru moved, Deputy Chair Hutt has seconded, all in favour? Aye, anyone again? No, carried, okay. I've just got to try and get my computer up. I might do. Okay, I'll just use this click here. Can't read my writing. Okay, ka whakaria te tapu, kia wātea ai te ara, kia tūriki whakataha ai, hui taiki. So that just means restrictions are moved aside, so the pathway is clear to return to everyday activities, enrich, unified and blessed. Thank you so much. I know Apple meetings are full on. Thank you, Robin, and